This week, it's time for the Hot Game Awards 2025. Join us as we go category by category, discussing our favourite games released this year with some jokes in between on this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, is my good friend Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
It's a pleasure to welcome everybody once again to the Hot Game Awards 2025, the best game award show on this side of the internet, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm suited, I'm booted, I'm probably, wearing something that is more formal than 90% of the Game Awards audience was wearing, because, usually it's the t-shirt and a blazer affair.
Yeah, and your clothes fit better than a lot of what the presenters at the Game Awards had.
I mean, the camera is doing it more justice than it deserves. This is like a shirt and a tie that I bought for my cousin's wedding back in February. And I'm happy to report that I'm no longer as fat. So if I was to stand up, you would see that the shirt is actually a bit big for me now. But you know what? We're sitting down. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of online presenting. It's the beauty of online meetings. It's just the beauty of anything online is the camera lies. Whatever's happening down here, you don't need to see it. You don't need to know about it, baby. We can just sit here, smile, and look the part. It's all good stuff. But no, welcome in, guys. This is our celebration of everything 2025 in the world of gaming. We're going to be going through the highs. We're going to be going through the lows. We're going to be going through the surprises and much, much more. If you're new here, we've got a bunch of categories. Timestamps are below. We have our own nominees, our own winners. It's just mainly just a good old time to celebrate everything that's happened over the past 12 months of gaming, really, to wrap up 2025 so that as soon as we get into next week in 2026, we can ignore it forever and just move on with our lives. It's the tax return of the gaming season. It should be a fun time. It's been a fun year for games. It's a weird one, right? Where it's like,
I don't think I was expecting it to go as hard as it did at the start of the year, if I'm being honest.
It has. It was a very kind of... It was weird. It was in weird bursts, wasn't it? It was like the first half of this year was very stacked, and then the second half, there's been some massive hitters, but they kind of came out right next to each other within 2-week periods, and then there was like droughts, and then another 2 week of big hitters, and then droughts. It was very, very weirdly paced year. I blame GTA for this, and I'll blame it for GTA next year as well. But it's been an interesting one. We'll talk all about those games in just a little bit. But hey, if you're new here, welcome to the HGO podcast. We're here every Monday at 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern on podcast services everywhere, and at youtube.com/hotgamersonly. If you are watching this, all of our Game of the Year articles are now up on the website. That's hotgamersonly.com if you want to go check them out. If you want to get a precursor to what's happening today, obviously if you're here and watching this video, maybe watch this video first because there will be spoilers throughout all of those articles for myself and Hunter. But if you want to know what Kyle's thoughts on the year were, you can go to hotgamersonly.com. Main reason he's not here is he hasn't played that many games this year. He's been dabbling in Final Fantasy 14 and Guilty Gear like a right little goblin, dude. He's just in his bunker, honking, just getting down there. He's like right in the mines with 2 very online video games, and I say Godspeed, but also I am 28 years old and I don't think I've got a long online game left in me, Hunter. I'll be real with you. I don't think I've got it.
No, not at all. I've always, like, I could never commit to one of those, even when I was younger.
Yeah, I like them like as a social game. Like I play like first person shooters with friends as like a social experience. We're just talking, we're hanging out. Especially now that we're older, people are moved away, and you're just kind of, it's a good use of your time to just kind of, hey, we're gonna talk anyway. Do you want to play this multiplayer game for a little bit? That kind of dilutes the kind of just kind of lets you turn your brain off a little bit and just talk. And I like them for that. But like the actual commitment, they're logging into ranked, they're getting extremely sweaty at 3 o'clock in the morning. I think those days are long gone.
Yeah, it's
um,
like I don't think I've ever cared. Yeah, like fighting games, I've never cared about being better than anyone. So like, and there's no joy to be had if you beat somebody that's a random stranger online. I guess unless you just
unless they get
have
angry
the
in the game chat, then it's like the perfect, it's
or
like,
unless
oh.
you're like being toxic and doing the old projectile pokey poke, etc., that just makes people angry. But
Oh, there's
I
nothing
try not
better
to
than
be
an
that
anonymous
guy.
person screaming rage in the little text chat nowadays. Because everyone's got a text chat now, Hunter. Because games are cross-platform, so everything's got a text chat. Just those little bits of rage, they do keep you going, though. They do keep you going. I don't ever
Oh yeah, I
respond,
do
I don't ever
remember
engage, but it is a bit of dopamine that does hit. It's pretty good.
playing Among Us back when that was the thing was fun to engage with that a little bit because sometimes they'd get mad at you for not paying attention or whatever. Usually I would only ever respond in like frowny face or happy face, regardless of what was happening.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah,
Uh,
we're not here to talk about all that. There's plenty of reviews and stuff that have gone up as well. Hotgamesonly.com or on the YouTube channel. Go check them out as we wrap up our content for the year. But don't worry, we're not taking a week off. We'll be back next week as normal. The train does not stop here at HGO Industries, HGO Media, HGO, whatever you want to call us. Anyway, the HGA's 2025, Hunter. Overall, what is your read on 2025 this year? How are you feeling now that we are out of it?
oh, it was like I said, it went harder than I was expecting it to at the beginning. It's pretty stacked, all things considered, when I was sitting here assembling my game of the year list, my top 10 that I like to do
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the year anyway, sitting here looking at like I think some of the ones that are on the lower part of the list would have been higher last year if
Mm-hmm.
I had if they had come out then. That kind of thing where I think that like my top 5, 6 this year rock solid as far as things I really like.
Yeah, overall I agree. I think it's been a very strong year. I think the top 3 or 4 games that are in my list certainly did impact me in a way where I'm like, okay. And I think the best part about it is all but one of them were new IPs, which
Yeah.
is such a breath of fresh air because, we can talk about your Silk Songs, we can talk about your Hades 2s. They're gonna get that love and representation here today, I'm sure. But they're kind of known quantities, they're kind of solid bets. If you like Hades 1, you're probably gonna like Hades 2 unless they really drop the ball. So to have games like Expedition 33, like Blueprints, like Dispatch, like these, there's a load of games this year that are just brand new IPs that just have impacted, not only like my, audiences, but the games industry at large. There's been a pretty big shakeup this year, and I think that's really cool to see a lot of smaller studios do a lot of the heavy lifting for 2025. If you were to tell me that the launch year of the Nintendo Switch 2 wouldn't really have that big juicy game that's at the top of everybody's lists, I would have called you a liar, frankly, earlier in the year. But here we are, right?
Mm.
There's nothing to be found apart from a bit of Donkey Kong, which is pretty good. But it's an interesting one, right? I've played more games this year than I have in any other year in terms of new releases. Um, for me, it was 23 games in the end that I ended up playing, which is a lot of games for me. I'm not usually that big on new releases. And there were so many great
Yeah.
ones. I also won't lie to you, Hunter. I played quite a few mediocre games and quite a few stinkers to the point where it's like I am self-evaluating my time spent with video games where I'm like, hey, maybe in 2026, let's try and only aim for those good ones. Maybe,
Yeah, that's a fair uh desire to have. I think I hit like it was 26 or 27 for me.
mm,
And I also had a couple of whiffs. We share at least one of those
yeah,
in the experiences of this year, but
we definitely do.
most of them I really liked.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about all of them. The way this show kind of works, ladies and gentlemen, is like I said, timestamps below, both on the YouTube and on the podcast version of this episode. We have some serious categories. We have some not so serious categories. It's all a good laugh, right? We're not sitting here, as an outlet. We don't really determine a quote unquote true winner of the categories or anything like that. It's just a bit of fun. What would we pick? What is our pick? You know, if we both agree, then it's a definitive choice. But otherwise, you know, we'll
Yeah.
tend to come out with two winners here. So hey, it's all a bit of fun. Timestamps below. And we're going to start off with our first category. It's a beloved one. Some say it's their favourite. So we've brought it to the front where it truly belongs, ladies and gentlemen. The This Came Out This Year award is an award that is given to just those games that you forgot came out this year, okay? These are games that you just, you get to the year's end and you go, oh, I remember that. I wish I didn't, but hey ho, here you go. Hunter giggled because he revealed we kind of keep our nominations secret until the turning point. But Hunter, do you want to read your nominations for the This Came Out This Year award?
Yeah, all right. So my nominations are Mind's Eye, which I thought I would stick in the memory a lot more because of how disastrous it was at the beginning, but it faded to the background eventually. The Switch 2, Borderlands 4, Monster Hunter, and Avowed.
Very cool. My nominations were Avowed, The Outer Worlds 2, Mind's Eye, the Switch 2, and Borderlands 4. I love how we both went with the Switch 2
Yeah,
joke.
that's why I laughed. Was because our nominations are near identical.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it, right? We're kind of tongue in cheek about the Switch 2 because I feel like, again, I think both of us were expecting a bigger drop with that console, and it really has been a much smaller ripple than we anticipated. You know, I was expecting this huge amount of third-party support at least, you know, and we've had a couple of impressive ports. You know, you've got Star Wars Outlaws is apparently running way better than it frankly should be running on a Nintendo Switch 2. Assassin's Creed Shadows is there and running pretty great. The Final Fantasy VII Remake demo came out a couple of weeks ago, and I've dabbled with it, and it's basically as if you're playing the PS4 version on a Switch, which, you know, that's pretty
Nice.
cool. I'm pretty happy with it. It's running at a rock solid 30, so you can't complain about that. But it's like, I don't know, I was just expecting a bit more, Hunter, you know what I mean? I was expecting like the flood barrier. I was just expecting the floodgates to open essentially, but
The way they paced it this year was weird, to say the least. Like everything feels like it's all cattywampus and cockamamie as far as the way they chose to release things. Donkey Kong should have came before Mario Kart, and then there should have been more than like Drag X Drive for the summer, you know?
it kind of feels like it's like they tried to do another Switch 1 launch, but kind of have failed at it in a way, a bit miserably, where you look at the first year of Switch 1 and you go, launch with an epic game like Breath of the Wild. You got a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which was, you know, just basically Mario Kart 8 on steroids. Cool. You move on to ARMS, the kind of weird game you don't really expect from them, but it ended up being way better than it had any right to be, let's be honest, right? You had Splatoon 2, a huge sequel to a beloved game from the original Wii U. You had Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. You had a couple of other little games as they, you know, wandered through the fall, and then you had Mario Odyssey in October, and then you had Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in December, and then you had a couple of little bits and pieces, you know, like Yoshi's Crafted World and stuff kind of not Yoshi's Crafted World, it was Kirby Star Allies, kind of sneak in at that back like kind of 3 months. And it's like, yeah, you've got your Mario Kart, yeah, you've got your 3D platformer, yeah, you've got, you know, your Metroid, which is, I guess, your Xenoblade 2 pick of a more niche Nintendo
The
IP.
end of the year sneaker.
You've got Fire Emblem that's coming in to be that other, you know, big JRPG that's going to come in at the probably near June, right, to kind of round out that year. But it does just kind of feel where it's like Mario Kart just didn't hit right as much as it should have. Donkey Kong was good, but also it was $70, and then they added like a $20 expansion a month later that was just kind of felt icky. It was just like, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
It hasn't made the impact. I've talked to a lot of casual friends. They've never mentioned the Switch 2 to me. They're like, oh yeah, that came out. And I'm like, there you go. That's why it got the nom.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned Mind's Eye quite right. I've been a bit mean to Obsidian here with putting Avowed and Outer Worlds 2. They're just
Oh, you should have went for the hat trick. Put Grounded 2 on the
I was going to,
Yeah.
but, it's just I just think it wasn't their year. They released 2 RPGs that were just they were good, but they weren't excellent, if that makes sense, where it's like, they were serviceable, and I think that's fine, and I think, if you're an Xbox fan and you have Game Pass, then hell yeah, rock on. You've got 2 really solid 30 to 40-hour RPGs for you to play. But for anybody that's not in that ecosystem, there was stuff coming out at both those games releases that you just were drawn to more than those games. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you had
And,
Kingdom
like
Come at the start of the year, you had plenty of games in October and November to kind of
no
distract you
kidding.
from Outer Worlds. So it was like it was a difficult one for those 2 games. So
Yeah, and
that's not this came out this year because it was bad, it's just because they kind of were the bridesmaid, never the bride.
I also was personally expecting Outer Worlds 2 to be a little bigger since they were, you know
Same.
that one seemed to be the one that they were focusing on and hyping up a lot from Xbox's point of view this year. Xbox thought it was gonna be so good that they could get away with charging $80 for it until basically everyone went, "Ha, no."
Yeah, 100%. Do you wanna talk about why you put Monster Hunter on here?
It's just one of those things, compared to, World was the one from 2018,
World,
where
Rise, and
that
then, yeah,
yeah,
Wilds.
World was the one from 2018 that was kind of like the last really big one that set the world on
It
fire
was
and
the
all that,
Yakuza 0,
and
it was the Persona 5,
yeah.
it was what kind of properly got the normies invested.
Yeah, and that was kind of like I figured that was gonna tee up Wild Tier to be, like, even bigger than that one
Mhm.
when it came out, but I feel like it just kinda came and went.
It had a
It
huge
didn't
launch, it
have
just
this
whimpered a little bit,
Yeah, yeah, and
unfortunately.
it didn't have the, stickiness that World did when it came out. Because like, World was nominated for, like, Game of the Year or something, wasn't it?
I'm telling you right now, the PC port was disastrous for Wild, so that's the reason why
Yeah.
it dropped off is because that game is just terribly optimized and just doesn't work properly on PC, and it still doesn't to this day. Um, I think it was rushed a little bit. And I think they haven't kind of I feel like there'll be the big 2.0 update, and maybe that'll be when Wilds' Resurgence comes out. Maybe this time next year we'll be talking about it how it was nominated for best ongoing game because they managed to turn it back around. But
Yeah, that's possible.
yeah, it's just a bit unfortunate. And then let's talk about what I think is the winner of this year, to be honest, Borderlands 4. I think Borderlands 4 is the This Came Out This Year award because not only is it a game that is still an entry in a franchise that refuses to evolve past 2011, it is also a huge IP, but people forget how huge Borderlands is as an IP, and it
It had a movie.
underdelivered even on their modest expectations. It's just I don't know a single person that played Borderlands 4. And this is coming from somebody who played Borderlands 3. I actually even picked that one up. It's the reason I didn't pick this one
Yeah.
up, but I digress. Um,
It yeah, like, I have one of my older brothers is a really big Borderlands fan, and I don't even know if he picked up Borderlands 4. He might have not done that yet. I'm honestly not sure. I don't remember. But, you know, it just kinda came and went.
when
And
this game's
all
biggest
you
compliment,
ever
yeah, the biggest compliment this game had was it was better than Borderlands 3. And considering Borderlands 3 was a very mediocre video game, and this game came out quite literally 6 years after Borderlands 3. That's not really the kind of leap that you're after. Like I say, I think it's by far the winner because you talk about Mind's Eye, people still joke about it. You talk about the Obsidian games, they're at least decently solid, right? They're sevens, they're
Yeah.
eights, they're fine. Monster Hunter, when it's working on console, is pretty all right. Borderlands 4 just kind of seemed to never hit the gas at all. Like it just seemed to come out, spin out, and be completely forgotten.
Yeah, like, the most you could do is remember that Pitchford was being obnoxious about it around the time it launched, but
What's
also,
new,
like,
Scooby
who's to
Doo?
say that yeah, who's to say that it ever came out and he wasn't just being obnoxious because that's what he's like.
True, so true. Anyway, our first winner of the the night. Congratulations, Borderlands 4. You came out this year, and nobody remembers it. Next up, we've had our fun. Let's talk about some serious categories. One that is pretty contested this year, Hunter. Best RPG. This is the award for the best role-playing game, whether that be Western, Japanese, or anything in between. Our nominations for best RPG for this year, from myself, are Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, play the Elysia theme right now, Jeff Keighley, Pokemon Legends ZA, Avowed, Oblivion Remastered, and Monster Hunter Wilds. Hunter?
Mine are Expedition 33, Deltarune 3+4, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Oblivion Remake.
Expedition 33, we're going to talk a lot about this week, I'm sure. Let's talk about some of the others.
Kidding.
Avowed, again, I think I did play Avowed. I played roughly about 3 hours of Avowed, and what was there was pretty solid. Like I said, it was like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. It just was unfortunately surrounded by not only games, but also Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 came out just a couple of weeks beforehand, which is, we've not played it, but it's a huge RPG of the year, Game of the Year nominated at the Game Awards. It just wasn't, it didn't have its time to shine, really. And it was fine. I think it was far too stuck in its own lore. It ended up being a pseudo sequel to what's the series, Hunter? Pillars of Eternity. That's what I thought it was. But yeah, it was a pseudo sequel to that. It had all this baggage that it just didn't need, and this game was announced as a Skyrim, attempt by Obsidian, in the same vein of how they did Fallout New Vegas, and then The Outer Worlds. And it just doesn't live up to that, really. So, but what's there is good. Yeah. It just never managed to meet the expectations, I think, of its audience, which is a shame.
It feels like it got mired by the fact that they also bought, Xbox went and bought Bethesda anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, anything that they might have done to maybe, do their version of Skyrim and blow Skyrim out of the water and anything like that, they were probably like, hey, pull that back a little.
Yeah. Still, I think it's pretty good. I think that Obsidian needs props for releasing 2 big RPGs this year. And I also think, I don't know whether this is a controversial opinion or not, from the 2 hours of Avowed I played and the 2 hours of The Outer Worlds 2 that I eventually got around to, I was feeling Avowed a tiny bit more. Not like Outer Worlds 2 to me just kind of felt like, oh, it's more Outer Worlds, whereas Avowed, at least I was like, okay, so it feels a little bit new. So that was what gave it the edge for me. Oblivion Remastered is just it's an interesting one, right? Again, if you want to talk about performance and optimization, not the best, but I think it's a very impressive thing to be able to basically take the skeleton of Oblivion and put this Unreal kind of coat of paint on the top of it. And to shadow drop it out of nowhere was also pretty interesting.
Shadow drop in heavy bolded quotation marks.
Shadow dropped, but the shadow was seen from 1,000 miles away.
Yeah, the shadow might as well have been an eclipse.
Yeah. But what's there solid from the couple of hours I played, I thought it was fantastic. I will get back to it eventually. This little game called Clair Obscur Expedition 33 got in the way of me playing it. So
that's what prevented me from ever picking it up.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds, again, performance issues aside, it is a really good game when you can actually run it. So that's why I nominated it there. Pokemon ZA. As Pokemon games go, it's one of the better ones of the past 10 years. I don't think it's as good as Arceus. I don't think it's as good as Scarlet and Violet either. Are Scarlet and Violet bad video games, Hunter? Yes. Are they fun as hell, though? Yeah, they're so fun. Especially on Switch 2.
The Switch 2 going overtime to make them, not
the Switch 2 version makes it an actual joy. And yeah, Pokemon ZA is fun. It's good. I like the new combat system. I don't care for the City of Lumiose as a open world gameplay area, and I think the story is a bit lacking. But I think that about a lot of Pokemon games, so there's not too much to add. Hunter, do you want to talk about your other ones?
All right. So Deltarune, it was a very light year for RPGs for me in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
The only one besides Expedition that actually played myself here was Deltarune 3 and 4, which are, I'm just lumping it together as one thing because I played it pretty much as one thing here.
Yep.
So that's how it goes. I think that that was really well done. Very interested to see where the story goes next. I think that chapter 4 is probably the best chapter that he's put out of this little series so far now.
This
So,
little darling, yeah, this little tiny
yeah.
game. Yeah,
So, I'm interested to see where 5 goes. Final Fantasy Tactics and Oblivion Remake are both on here because they're games I've not played yet, but am definitely interested in playing. If I had, infinity time, I would have played them and probably liked them well enough.
true. My winner of this category, and I assume your winner too, is Claire Obscure Expedition
Yeah.
33. So let's just get that out of the way now. Congratulations, Claire Obscure, you've won another RPG award. Um,
Your
yeah, this is
certificates in the mail.
one of those rare games in Expedition 33. It's like every few years I play a video game and I go, "Oh, this one's different." Um,
Yeah.
where you kind of know as you're playing it that you're playing something special. It's very rare for me as a 28-year-old man to actually get a bit of joy and whimsy out of a video game where I'm actually sitting there and going, "Ooh, I actually want to see what happens next. I'm actually engaged here." It's very rare for that to happen. I'll sit there and I'll go,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, this is good," but also it's like every other anime JRPG I've ever played, or "Oh, okay, that's good, but it's the same as every other Western open world video game I've ever played." There's always a kind of been there, done that. And I think the best compliment I can give to Expedition 33 is I have been there and done that on every single piece of gameplay this game actually has. You know, it's Persona
That's
like turn
true.
based RPGs, it's Sekiro, Dark Souls kind of parrying and take on the enemy turn system. The RPG linear level design of, quite frankly, dozens of JRPGs that I've played over my life, the overworld maps that have been seen in classic RPGs for decades at this point. You know, the kind of the kind of open world semi-linear platforming that has been in so many modern third-person
Mhm.
adventure games in the past, God knows, decade and a half, thanks to Uncharted and the like. There's nothing truly like unique about Expedition 33 as a gameplay construct, but it's the mashing and melding of all those different
Yeah.
bits and pieces that makes it so special to play.
Yeah, the way they put it all together makes it just feel unique in ways that other games that have those pieces but, are put together differently don't. I think the most impressive thing about this game, from your end there is that you were on RPG Strike when this game came out. And it's one of your favorite games of the year.
Yeah, I was on RPG Strike. I purposely said I was not going to play Expedition 33 because I was RPG burnt out. I was on RPG burnt out. I'm not doing it. Um, and the scores were just too good. I was like, okay, I've got to play it, haven't I? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's got Andy Serkis in it. What's not to like? So yeah, I love the game. I think it's great. I think its world, its narrative, its gameplay elements. I think the Picto system is such a good system of
Oh yeah.
these little trinkets that you pick up. There's hundreds of them. You use them 3 times and that's it. You can equip them to anybody at that point. I think is a really cool idea. The idea of if you've equipped them to somebody, it doesn't cost AP, but you can use them on others for the cost of AP. I think it's a really beautiful system that is as complex as you want it to be. If you want to engage with it, you can break the game. If you don't want to
Oh yeah,
engage
you
with
can.
it, you can still, you know, understand enough
You
about
can
it that
get
you can have a
by.
good time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's great. I know that there will probably be somebody in the comments that wants us to have a 12-minute discussion about AI in video games. Let's, I don't know. I don't know really what to. I feel like it's one of those things, Hunter, where it's like, I don't, I think, personally, I think AI should be as far away from creativity as possible. Um,
I agree.
I think the genie's out of the bottle, and I think that, if we're, the assets that were AI generated were very quickly swapped out. There's, a lot of
Yeah.
talk about, iteration and stuff like that. And I think if we were to disqualify every game that has used AI that has released this year, you would be actually, in all likelihood, be taking away 90% of the games that have been made, because somebody will have used it for a little bit of, a little bit of
That's the
testing or
problem
whatever. It's
you
it's a
run
slippery
into
slope. It's a very slippery
now
slope.
is that with like engines and assets that,
Mhm.
Unreal has just available to the people who are using it.
Yeah.
Now there's no like filter to keep those from being AI generated. So I'm willing to give Expedition 33 the benefit of the doubt, seeing as how they took it out, that they just didn't realize the asset they were using was AI generated until later.
I
Because
think,
like
if it's a
that's
genuine
happened
yeah, if it's a genuine
sometimes
mistake, I
when
got no
I'm
problem.
perusing through like um, art and stuff. And,
Mhm.
at a glance, sometimes I don't notice the extra finger and I send it to somebody and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, buddy." And I'm like, "Oh, shoot." You
I
know,
yeah.
I don't think it was
Um,
used maliciously or
no.
lazily in this case,
I think there's a
you
difference
know.
between, a temporary asset or even, a team of 28 to 32 people accidentally slipping something under the rug or trying to prototype something extremely quickly and oops, we forgot an asset. My bad. I think there's a difference between that and a company like Activision having 90% of the calling cards in the latest Call of Duty be AI generated. I think there's a massive difference there. Um, I think it's
Or
a
even
slippery
like what
slope.
Larian's been talking about, where it's like, "Oh, yeah, just uh,
AI, some
go
concept
ahead and
art real
use this,
quick. Yeah.
guys."
It's
Apparently, people, lower on the ladder are like, but we don't want to. It makes life harder, actually.
It's an interesting one, right? Like I say, I'm not the biggest fan of AI. I think a lot of it is a bubble that is going to pop at some point in the near future. But the genie's out of the bottle. I think that what we should do is, praise and, give power to the people that aren't. If there's a genuine mistake, hey, I'm kind of sick of the era of the internet dogpiling on somebody for making, if there's a genuine mistake and someone comes up and goes, okay, we effed up. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I think we should all as a society then go, okay, if you've not killed somebody or done something horrible, I think we can forgive, you know?
yeah,
I think we can forgive. I think people can grow. I think people can change. Let's have a bit of humanity and a bit of a benefit of the doubt instead of just the instant dog pile and the hatred and the vitriol. I'm kind of over it, if I'm honest with you. And I think that there is so much creativity and so much joy and so much love in the world of Claire Obscure that I can overlook and forgive the temporary AI assets that were taken out. Or if they have done and they address it, then cool. Whatever. I'm perfectly, okay as long as, no one's gonna die over it. No one's gonna die over it, guys. It's not that big of a deal if they've, if they've changed. Fair play. That's my take on it. That's my take on it. It's not Activision, okay? It's not Activision.
yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, that's the only AI discussion we're gonna have. Unless it's I hate that we use the word AI like this now because it's like AI just used to mean 2 years ago until we could talk about AI and it was just the enemy kind of
Yeah, it was the way the enemies were
the enemies were
programmed, and
yeah.
I feel like contextually you can still get the idea pretty well, or
But yeah.
I've had to start in general conversations, like, sometimes when I'm talking about, like, Somnium files, I
Mhm.
would just call it AI for, the people that, are aware of it already, but now I have to, like, specify Somnium files every time, otherwise.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's a whole conversation on it, Hunter, and I'm sure we could potentially talk about it in the near future if we so decide, because there's a whole can of worms you can open, you know. is there a huge difference between AI generating art and generating vocal performances? Is there a difference between this and that? And I'm like, there's plenty of conversations to have about it. And I think there are a
Yeah.
load of good conversations that people have had about it. But as far as I'm aware, the little bits of AI that were used in concept art and prototyping in Eclair Expedition 33, I think the creativity surrounding it that is actually in the game and handcrafted is 99.99% of that video game. And it's
Yeah,
excellent.
certainly.
It's not Arc Raiders. You've not got AI Ben Starr going, let us go to the
Yeah,
monolith.
you know, like that excuse is way more flimsy because, like, back in the day, in-house developers would just grunt into the microphone. That's how
Mm-hmm.
you got things like, Jill Sandwich and all of that. Like,
All, as I can't remember who said it. That was a pretty big
you,
thing. There was a pretty big voice actor
you
that said it
thinking of Neil
earlier.
Newbone?
Yeah, Neil Owen. I was just like, you've made your money, now hire some actual actors. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Small project. You've earned your money. I think you can have proper voices now. And they can. Arc Raiders has been huge. Anyway, hottest action adventure game. We don't specify what's an action and what's an action stroke adventure game in this podcast. We just ask ourselves what's the best of both, because there isn't really that
yeah.
much of a difference. Hunter, what are your noms?
My nominations for this category are Hollow Knight Silksong, Hades 2, Silent Hill F, Death Stranding 2, and Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
And my hottest for action adventure is DS2, Ghost of Yotei, Split Fiction, Hades 2, and Donkey Kong Bonanza. Because platformers are adventure games as far as this. We don't ever have enough platformer games, and we're not Jeff Keel, we're not making our own category. So platformer, it's an
Yeah.
adventure. Is Donkey Kong going on an adventure? Yes. There you go. Shut up. Sit down.
Yeah.
Make your own award show if you don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we do.
um
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, it was a strong year for this kind of for the action and adventure genres, really. Um, Again, from the adventure game standpoint, these open world games, you've got Split Fiction and Donkey Kong Bonanza, two excellent platformers, which, like I say, in any other year would be in my top 5 games of the year, period,
yeah.
straight away. Um, just incredibly fun games. On the side of Split Fiction, it's incredibly innovative. It uses a new mechanic in every single level. It really does feel like a Nintendo game in a lot of ways, where it's like, hey, here's a mechanic, we're going to use it for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to throw it away, and you're never going to see it again. Here's another mechanic. And they're all just very well designed. It's not, you don't ever get to a point in that game where you're like, ooh, that one's a bit of a dud. It's like, oh, cool, I have
Yeah.
my favorites, but they all work rather well. And that final hour, fantastic. What a final
Oh,
hour of a video game.
what a finale. Yeah.
Donkey Kong Bonanza, extremely high quality Nintendo game. Um, it's no Mario Odyssey. I think it's very rare. There's very few games that are Mario Odyssey. Let's be real, but
True.
I think it's very innovative in its original mechanics. I think it's very un-Nintendo like for it to not innovate on anything though for the rest of the game. It has a very, innovative moveset, and it basically stays the exact same for the entirety. It has westernized skill trees that don't really impact anything in the game. It
You
kind
could
of
not engage with any of that, and your experience really wouldn't change.
Yeah, it has obviously these bonanza abilities, which are fun in context, but again, that's exactly what they are. They're context uses. You're very rarely using them outside of when the game wants you to. Um, I like the game quite a bit. I don't think it's Nintendo's strongest, especially for a launch kind of period title. Um,
Yeah.
but I still think there's some good stuff there. There is some good stuff there. Do you want to talk about Death Stranding, Hunter?
Oh, Death Stranding, still one of the more memorable games of this year, I would say, as far as, you know, usually Kojima's coming at you with some kind of crazy juice that you can't get out of your head, even
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to. But, it expounds on the foundation laid by the first game, for better and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the edges are sanded off in a way that makes the long trek less gratifying, but it
Yeah.
makes it easier to get into the flow of things as you start up the game. I think some of the things they introduce, you know, mechanically are a lot of fun to get to. Like I had a lot of fun building out the grappling station, like the monorail
Hmm.
in the game, for example, there as one
Yeah.
of the things that you could do.
It's a
And
fantastic
then,
game. Yeah.
as far as the world and all of that, Australia was a really cool place to be exploring.
Yeah. I It's an interesting one, right? I adore Death Stranding 2. I think it's fantastic. I think, you know, in many ways from the gameplay side of things, um, it's better. It's more refined. It feels like Kojima has kind of honed his craft of what he wanted to do with that game. I think it loses a little bit of the charm. Um, Again, standing off some of those edges. It's a much more accessible game for better or worse. Um, but the story is so wild and the story is so bonkers that you can't just help enjoy it. Um,
Yeah, no kidding.
I like the first Death Stranding one more. I think Death Stranding 2 is better. And that's the way that I have kind of accepted it in my brain is Death Stranding 2 is the better game. It's similar to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. The second one's the better game, but that pure dopamine of that original experience, you almost can't match it a second time around. But that's okay. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you do want to hear people gush about it quite a bit, VGC Video Games Chronicle, their podcast, their game of the year is Death Stranding 2, and they have a podcast up about it.
Oh,
Um,
respect.
if we had my favorite gaming podcast of the year that isn't the HGO podcast every Monday, like, comment, subscribe. Uh, VGC, excellent video game podcast. It's incredibly funny. As someone who's been doing this for 6 years, it's very hard for me to listen to video game podcasts because I'm like, been there, done that, worn
Yeah,
the
it's
t-shirt.
very hard for me to actually listen to them and, like, enjoy it. Sometimes I will put
VGC
them on and
is
work
yeah,
as
VGC is one
background
of those
noise.
rare ones that I absolutely love and listen to every week. It's only an hour long, which is, for most video game podcasts is bite size by comparison, once a week, but it's fantastic. So, shout outs to those guys. Um, Ghost of Yotei, I put on there for similar reasons. It's better than Ghost of Tsushima. It is a more refined version of that original concept. Maybe over the concept personally, and hey, it's a lot more iterative and more kind of um copy and paste than some of these other entries on the list this year. But I still think
Yeah.
it's a good game from Sucker Punch. If you love Ghost of Tsushima, you will love Ghost of Yotei. Um, I think there's a lot of good there. It's just it didn't really wow me all too much. Do you want to go through your little exclusive picks there, Hunter?
Yeah, alright, so I'll start with Shinobi. I really liked this game while I was playing it. It took, like, 30 minutes for me to be like, "Ah, yes. The combat in this game is super gratifying." The combo of the 2 heavy attacks in a row,
Mm-hmm.
something that I will refer back to as things that satisfy me in video games for years to come. And the way it put itself together being this kind of stage-based Metroidvania level layout with, you know, pretty heavy focus on the combat throughout. I think the way they progressed the levels as you go was really impressive. The early stage with the Lantern Festival is one that sticks in the head as far as just the way they escalated the presentation really well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all really well done. Silent Hill F, I am very happy that this game landed. That's 2 years in a row that this series has not had a miss, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, totally.
yeah, it's more action leaning than I think I was expecting it to be at the end of the day, and I think that's alright for this one being its own kind of new thing. I think it does kind of handicap itself near the second half of the game, leaning a little too far that direction because, because it's a horror game, the action isn't the greatest thing that you can be doing. But
Mm-hmm.
also because it's leaning more on the action side near the end, you're locked into a lot of combat encounters. But near the beginning when it's just get to this location, figure out how you're on your own, and you just got the one lead pipe and maybe a kitchen knife to defend yourself with. while you're being harassed by all these weird dolls and such. It is a really good time.
Yeah, it's kind of
And then I've
crazy.
got
Sorry, I was just gonna say the
yeah,
resurgence of Silent Hill is crazy.
yeah, no
Again,
kidding.
you've got Delta. You had Metal Gear Solid Delta come this year, and that was fine. It was, it was kind of very, it was more. It was Metal Gear Solid 3 for better or worse. It was very much the same game built back up from the ground up. Um, and I'm more impressed, if I'm honest with you, with Konami's attempts at bringing back Silent Hill than Metal Gear, because Silent Hill 2 was not was a risk having Bloober make it, and it was also a risk having it be so different from the original Silent Hill 2, adding, you know, substantial chunks of the video game to it. And then Silent Hill F being something so drastically different from prior entries, being set in Japan, being very, like you said, action focused, and just being a fundamentally very different game to what's been seen in Silent Hill in the past. I respect it a lot. Um, so yeah, fair play, Konami. Fair play. Now, if you can stop making pachinko machines and start making Castlevanias, then that would be fantastic. Godspeed.
I sure hope that's next on the docket for them. But yeah, and then the last of the ones that are exclusive to my nominations here is Silk Song. I liked the first Hollow Knight well enough. You know,
Hmm.
I have a lot of respect for it. This I wasn't foaming at the mouth and ready to like bury a knife in my friend's chest to be able to play this one, but I was still excited for it once it came out, and I do think Silk Song managed to deliver pretty well. Uh, Playing as Hornet feels really good. You feel when you're playing well, as cool as Hornet was in the first game when she was trouncing you up and down.
Hmm.
Um, you know, there's the whole debate on whether the game is too hard or and whatnot. I, for the most part, was fine with it. There were a couple of spots that weren't fun, but yeah, those were mostly isolated incidents. Uh, I had a lot of fun with many of the boss encounters. It was a really good feeling to go from, this seems impossible to, try it again and you see the pattern, try it a few more times and you're exploiting the pattern. I think it was all really well put together that way.
Oh yeah. Um, and then yeah, I guess the final nomination and the winner of the category, I assume, for both yourself and myself, once
Yes.
again, Hades 2 winning hottest action adventure game of the year. Hunter, this is your ballpark. I'll let you take a swing.
Oh, just as far as things that are gratifying altogether, I think Hades 2 wins the category there. Took the bones of the first game and made them even better as far as the gameplay is concerned. I think that every weapon in this game, I leaned really hard on the knives the first little while I was playing. And then by the time I had finally a run. It wasn't even with the knives. It was, I think, the first thing I got a win with was the axe,
Mm,
which was what I thought was my worst, the weapon I was the worst with at that point, and I got a win with it. So, like, as I played the whole time, just the gradual setups that you can get with the boons and all of that, the way that the aspects work, everything just kind of becomes viable. I think, at least at the standard play, you might have to get a little wackier if you do things on like the Act of Punishment or whatever this version is called,
yeah.
uh, higher levels. But I had a great time. Every weapon was a joy to use. When I was recording the footage for my review, it was one of those things where I had initially wanted to do like a run with every weapon to, have footage for all of them. I quickly realized that I would be stuck there for hours doing that because I would have to see it through or lose. um,
Yeah, yeah.
because I can't just turn it off after I get far enough in. I had to keep going. It's just a compulsory thing at that point.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think the game's fantastic. Um, it's very rare because Hades 1, fantastic game in its own right, but it's very rare for a sequel to come out and make the first one almost feel inferior in every single way. Where it's like you look back at Hades 1 now, and it looks rather elementary in comparison to Hades 2. The amount that they've managed to cram into the gameplay systems for Hades 2 is kind of crazy, to be honest. Like you say, I don't think there's a single bad weapon in the game. I think, I hated the skull the first time I used it, and it ended up being my
Oh,
favorite weapon in the game because it was just so versatile and so easy to use. Um, but yeah, I think, Hades 2 is one of those sequels that is just bigger and better. It's got twice the amount of content, it's got twice the amount of narrative, it's got twice the amount of potential in terms of synergies and in terms of kind of builds. And you just can't go wrong with it. You really can't go wrong with it. Um, yeah, it's just fantastic. It is a very good game. Um, and you expect no less from Supergiant at this point.
that's true.
I'd be more shocked for them to release a bad game at this point. It's like you just expect an 80 or a 90 out of this team now at this point. So
It's true. And they've not released a bad game yet.
yeah, but hey, so yeah, congratulations to Hades 2. Next up, and don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, some of these categories will be shorter than others. Hottest score, or musical score. This is the category for the best music of the year. My nominations are Donkey Kong Bonanza, Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, Hades 2, and Mario Kart World. There you go, Mario Kart World fans. You can shut up now. It got a nomination in this category. Hunter?
My nominations are Hades 2, Expedition 33, Silent Hill F, Hollow Knight Silk Song, and Deltarune 3 and 4.
I feel like there's quite a few of these that fit into the similar kind of category that we can kind of all kind of summarize as sequels to games that had excellent soundtracks that continue to have excellent, if not better, soundtracks the second time around.
Yeah, very true.
I think that Death Stranding 2 is quite possibly one of the most underrated scores of the year. I think it's brilliant. I think the work that Woodkid did for Death Stranding 2, I think what people don't realize is,
How
people go, oh,
much
it's
of
just,
it's actually original.
yeah, a lot of people go, oh, it's like Death Stranding 1 where it was all licensed. I'm like, no, like 90% of Death Stranding 2's soundtrack is original music. Woodkid made so much music for that game and it's all excellent. It is so good. To the Wilder as a theme, I'm like, oh, what a theme when the credits roll and you're like, yeah, what a theme. Oh,
Yeah.
great. Rainy's theme is quite possibly the best piece of music from this year, and I still stand by it. It is beautiful in how strange yet soothing it is. It manages to find this balance between so many different emotions that I'm just like in awe of it. I think it's fantastic. um does it still have those moments of licensed music? Yes. I don't think they pay as off as well as in the first one, but
I
again,
would argue they even use it a little too much in this one, but it
100%.
doesn't matter that much because the original music is way more prevalent this time. So like
Hmm.
the dropping a having a needle drop almost every delivery you're doing doesn't matter because eventually you're gonna hit a point where it's like, oh, this this new track is really going hard.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. But I think it's, you know it's a fantastic score. Love it to pieces. Hades 2 is in a similar vein where, it's just Darren Korb again, being Darren Korb,
The man
making
is a genius.
making great music. Um, the Hades 1 soundtrack is fantastic. I think the Hades 2 soundtrack is better, and that's, saying something. I think it's fantastic. Again, using the same instruments, the same kind of tools that made the Hades 1 soundtrack so special, but, just turning it all up to 11. I think it's pretty great. Mario Kart World is it's a great soundtrack. It's almost the greatest hits album of Mario Kart soundtracks, where it's like, oh look, here's Sherbet Land, and here's, Ice Ice Outpost, and here's all these songs that you've heard 6 million times before, but newly orchestrated and done in different ways. And I think it's fantastic. I think the only thing is its synergy to the actual game is abysmal. There is no synergy. You just hear random, it's kind of icy around here. Play Ice Ice Outpost or whatever it is. Let's play. Play Sherbet Land, and I'm like, cool. But there's no synergy there, and I think the greatest shame this soundtrack has, Hunter, is It has so many incredible remixes of old classics. The new tracks for the new, the new songs for the new tracks, forgettable, not good. And I
Oh,
think that's the greatest weakness of this soundtrack is it's got all this incredible history and all this kind of respect for Mario Kart's history, but when it comes to the actual new tracks, cannot hum a single one for you, mate, other than the harmonica on the new Mario Kart main menu music. That's the only thing I
yeah.
can hum, and I think that's the only downfall of
Seems
this soundtrack.
indicative of the game as a whole in some ways.
Yeah, 100%, I agree. I assume you feel similar with Silk Song and Deltarune?
Yeah, yeah, they both kind of capture the same feelings as the other ones did in their own ways. Like Deltarune has each chapter had a theme that kind of pops off really well, and both chapters have those. This time it's kind of the one you're expecting. Like the first two had a field of hopes and dreams, and then a cyber world were the two that like everyone really latched onto, and each of these had those kind of musical drops there too. Silk Song, hits similar notes to to the first game's soundtrack. I think this one for me is more memorable, just as far as like I'll be thinking about that Bellheart theme for the rest of my life,
Mm,
perhaps. But
no, fantastic. I did want to give a shout out to Donkey Kong Bonanza. I think this game's soundtrack is just goodness, It's that Nintendo kind of it's just that Nintendo soundtrack, you know what I mean? It's like I
yeah,
still think about the first stage's music all the time where I'm just like, "Oh, it just hits. It just puts you in." You cannot have a smile on you like, a smile instantly appears on your face when you're just listening to the first stage music in Donkey Kong Bonanza where you're just like once you actually hit the first sub layer and the beach is just right in front of you and you're just like, "Oh, this just hits straight away." Um the Bonanza songs, what a absolute joy. Again, the zebra theme is incredible. I love the elephant theme as well, that's also a banger.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but just the amount of, kind of musical kind of the amount of musical joy that is within Donkey Kong Bonanza is one of the true thing. A lot of people are sitting there going, Donkey Kong Bonanza, game of the year. And I'm going, I don't necessarily
but slow
agree
your
with
roll.
you, slow your roll, but I can 100% back you on the soundtrack. That's what I can 100% back you on and agree with, that it has a stellar soundtrack.
It also pulls off the thing that Mario Kart World was trying to do without sacrificing the memorability of its new music, because it does have redone versions of like Bramble Blast and Jungle Hijinks and the like little hidden retro barrels.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's it. It has with the DK Island expansion, it has, the main the DK Island theme from the original country games as you're rolling around there as well. If you feel like paying $20 for a literal bare bones hub world. You're a Nintendo fan, you probably did. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic score. I think it's again Nintendo on its A game. I cannot wait to hear the remixes of multiple of these themes in the next Smash Bros. Game because you know for a fact they're going to be there and it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this, Sakurai, as I know you're an avid listener to the HGO podcast, um, in the same way that you've kind of tweaked in Ultimate, you tweaked a couple of characters' gameplay kind of styles. I feel like having Paulie and Donkey Kong kind of be like, Paulie and be on Donkey Kong's back and that add that as a move set, you know what I mean? Have his ultimate become a Bonanza move or something like that, have some wacky fun with that.
I could see I could see his final smash being like turning into the Kong Bonanza or something and going crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have some fun with
He'd
it.
sure beat the drum thing that he does.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It'd be better than the drum thing.
Yeah, the drum the drum move kind of sucks. Does he still even use that one, or did they replace that?
I don't remember. I don't. You think
Yeah,
I
I don't
used
know anymore.
ultimates in Smash Bros? I just want it for
Yeah,
the vibes.
I've been playing with those turned off for like 2 versions now, so
Yeah, that's the spirit. Do you want to talk about Silent Hill?
oh, dude, the way that Akira Yamaoka can just do his thing in a completely new context and setting is really impressive. It captures the same kind of eerie, foreboding feeling that you normally get from a Silent Hill game, except instead of the normally kind of industrial scraping brick in a washing machine sounds that he likes to do, um, for that, it's more of the like it was almost in a lot of ways when you described Rainy's theme. There's a
Hmm.
lot of songs in Silent Hill F that kind of captured the same feeling for me, where there's this almost ethereal chorus in the background humming along to what feels like a playground game in some ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, when you get the boss fights and stuff, those pop off real hard too.
Hell yeah. And then finally, I believe, finally, Expedition 33. Fantastic soundtrack. Again, what can I say about this score? That it's, Jeff Keighley did not do it justice because he played 2 songs from it the entire night. And
Yeah.
as nice as Alicia's theme is, I don't think it's even in my top 10 or 20 songs from Expedition 33. He
No.
should have played the gestural beach music for all I care as
Oh
everyone was
my
walking up on
god, yeah.
stage, you know what I mean? Get a bit of that smooth jazz in there. That's what we
Uh,
needed at the
that
Game
was a good
Awards.
one.
Um,
I think something regarding the music of this game that really it still sticks in my memory from playing it was I spent like 10 minutes just from getting control of Gustav at the beginning, just kind of standing there listening to the area music,
mhm.
being like, "Oh, this is real good."
Yeah, Lumiere's theme is just, incredible for just setting the tone. But it's just like I say, I just sat there. The one for me that always gets me is the kind of early game water area where you're like underwater with a bunch of fish and whales kind of swimming above you. And it's kind of got like this kind of underwater kind of tone to the music, like these kind of, the percussion in it found seems very aquatic and stuff like
You
that.
feel like you're stuck in an aquarium.
Yeah, and it's got the most incredible battle theme when you're in that area that's, like I say, very percussive. It kind of, it's got those kind of like marimba pan like drums into it and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, this is
Yeah,
incredible. The fact that I was like, oh, they're making a battle theme for like each area. This is sick. I can't wait to hear this for like the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, expecting it to be, Persona or Final Fantasy esque where you're stuck in a place for a long time. And that whole area is about 40 minutes, if that, and then you never hear it again. And I'm like,
yeah,
there's something about this soundtrack, Renoir's theme for the battle music is incredible. There's so many good battle themes for this
yeah.
game. Um, there's just so much music there. And the fact that this is all from a composer who has never composed for anything before is just it's just a small it's like it's an incredible feat. It's an incredible feat that this a soundtrack so diverse and so well executed came from a first time composer for a video game. This is the kind of soundtrack that you expect from a Darren Korb or, somebody who has been around the block a few dozen times. Um
Yeah.
yeah, it's really impressive. I do really enjoy the music of Expedition 33. Hunter, what gets your vote?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I think, at least today, I'll go with Expedition 33. It's a very strong three-way race between Expedition, Hades, and Silent Hill.
I'm
It's
also I'm also still leaning towards Expedition 33. So congratulations, Expedition 33. I think it is a fantastic score. Um, yeah, good job. Well done, guys. Another win for the French. Anyway,
we
we baguette, we baguette. My friend is currently playing through as of recording Expedition 33. And every time, because I don't want to spoil it, I hate when don't you hate it when a friend goes, "Oh, where are you at?" and then they'll say like, "You're at." Oh, you wait till I don't want to say anything, but ooh, wait, I don't want to be one of those people.
yeah, I don't understand why people gotta be like that. Usually, if I'm
Wink, wink,
posing the
nudge,
question, I'll
nudge.
be like, "Oh, cool," and then move on.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
I, I
What do
go
you
through
think of that
very
Akechi guy? Isn't he cool? What? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, prod, prod.
Yeah, I
Have
go
you
through
done
great
April
pains to
22nd yet or whatever,
not
you know what I
show my
mean?
hand.
Yeah, I hate it. I genuinely despise it. So every time that he's sending me something, like he sends me like just, a text about where he is in the story, I'm literally just replying with we baguette. That is all I'm replying with. That's the only thing that because I'm like, if he asks, I've told him, send me a message if you want like an actual question about like answered about the video game, because I know that the Expedition 33 community is so like bad at keeping stuff like keeping their cards close to their chest that if you look up one thing you'll have 16 things spoiled for you. You'll find the ending of act 1, half of act 2, just
Oof.
by just by get like asking how do I parry, or what's Gustav's best build, and you know that like 16 different spoilers are going to come through the closet. So I'm like, just ask me anything with the game. Don't Google anything, because my god, they're second place to Persona fans at keeping things fucking close to their chest, let me tell you. Um anyway, the most slept on game is that award that we give to those games that we think deserved a little bit more love this year. Mine go for my nominations for this category are Blueprints, Split Fiction, Yuka Replayly, and Keeper.
My nominations for this category are Lost in Random, The Rogue Prince of Persia, Blueprints, Wanderstop, and Split Fiction.
I'm gonna start off with some of my smaller picks here. I wanted to give Keeper some spotlight because Double Fine released a new game this year, and about 15 people played it, myself included.
Yeah, Xbox surely didn't try to give it any spotlight.
No, unfortunately not. And what's there's it's a lovely little game. If you're a big fan of walking sims, the kind of What Remains of Edith Finch and stuff like that, where you just kind of vibe out for 3 or 4 hours and you just kind of, experience the world rather than engaging gameplay concepts and light puzzle solving here and there. It's a really good time. I think the art style is beautiful. I think it's a really vivid game that really does kind of like nail its execution. I think it's a very simple game, but I think it's a very
Mm.
powerful one. I think it'll be a bit Marmite. I think you either like it, if you are not vibing with it 30 minutes in, chances are there's not going to be anything for you near the end that's going to change your mind on it. But if you're a fan of it, I think you should definitely give it a try. Um, Yooka Replayly is fantastic. It takes a 2017 platformer that wasn't that great and turns it into one that is a lot better. I think it's great. If you're a fan of 3D platformers, if you are, say, you bought a Switch 2 and you're going, hey, I loved that Donkey Kong Bonanza, but I've got nothing else to play on this blooming brick, then
Mhm.
may I recommend Yooka Replayly. It's very good. Um, it fixes almost all of my issues with the original game and uh, slots in a new orchestrated soundtrack and a bunch of gameplay refinements to make it a very enjoyable experience. You can check my review on the website if you're so inclined to learn more about it. Hunter, do you want to talk about some of your individual picks?
All right, so I'll hit Lost in Random and Rogue Prince of Persia at the same time because they were both kind of victims of circumstance. Where Lost in Random came out like a week after the Switch 2 launched, so people weren't really inclined to care much about it when it
Yeah, yeah,
released.
totally.
And then Rogue Prince of Persia came out like a week before Hollow Knight did, so people weren't really inclined to care much about it when it
Mm,
released. It was just one of those things where I managed to squeak out Rogue Prince of Persia like right before like Metal Gear Solid or whatever, I
yeah,
think. And I really enjoyed getting to play through it. I think what they did there was really well done. I liked the combat. I liked the different levels that you could choose. I liked that you weren't forced to go through every area they had on offer in order to finish a run. You could make the runs what you want it to be rather than having to go through every area once to get to the end kind of deal.
totally. Do you want to talk about Wanza Stop? Because that's also one
Oh,
that you have that's
I do. I
exclusive to
feel
you.
like Wanderstop is one of the ones that got slept on the hardest this year. Where I think what
Totally.
they did and said, as far as the themes they touched on in the story, were really well done. And I think that the gameplay is really complementary to what they were going for. It's, it's kind of like coffee talk in the sense that you're making drinks and serving them to people. The key difference there being you're retrieving the ingredients and putting them together like physically instead of just choosing them off of the shelf where you're standing.
Hmm.
So it becomes this kind of go and plant your roots and obtain the tea leaves and do all these kind of menial tasks in order to do that. But I feel like the simplicity of those all complement the actual drink serving in a way that's very meditative
Yeah.
to me, where, I'd just be sitting there doing my thing and then, finish up the thing if I see a customer come in, or maybe just finish, or maybe just keep doing my thing for a minute and make them wait. It all
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah, it's totally a game that I need to get onto eventually. Um, as you know, it's written by the guy that wrote the Stanley Parable, so I'm a big fan of the Stanley Parable. So obviously, it's on my list of games to play at some point. I will get to it, I promise. It's just the list is long in terms of backlog games at this point, and I'm still getting my way through games that came out 2 years ago. Like in the 2 months spare
Yeah.
I have before video games start trickling out again. Um, we've got two games here. They're both on our lists here. Split Fiction, um, which is interesting. Both of these games sold well, are successes by every right. I think when we're talking about slept on here, it's less that people didn't play it and more that there are a bunch of
It's
games
more
that
like
have
it
got a
feels like no
90.
one
Yeah. Why is no one talking about it? It's these games sold
it's the
millions, got
Hitman situation
90s.
from a
Yeah.
few years ago.
100%. 100%. Um, I talked a bit about Split Fiction earlier, Hunter, so I'll let you have a chat about this.
Oh yeah, Split Fiction was really well done as far as I think it's the kind of co-op adventure thing that they've been doing at Hazelight for the past several times fully realized to its greatest potential, at least for now. I'm sure they'll find a way to make it even better on their next project.
See you in
But
two
yeah, the
years.
way
Yeah.
they hit on so many gameplay, styles and they don't overstay their welcome. They take it to the fullest extent that they should and then bounce off of them. And even in ways that, I remember sitting there, us expecting certain things to happen. And, sometimes they would eventually, but when we were expecting them, it was kind of, they gave us something different for a minute, which
Yeah.
was cool, you know, giving us what we want, but also giving us something we didn't know to ask for yet,
Yeah.
kind of deal.
Yeah. It was definitely switching its, messing with expectations. I think it's a great game. I think it's fantastic. Um, I had a great time. I still need to play It Takes Two. I think a lot of people, have said to me, "Oh, I don't know if I like this more than It Takes Two," and I'm like, "I'll get around to it. I'll get round to it. It Takes Two eventually." Um, but I had a great time with Split Fiction. I think it's fantastic. And then what is there to not say about Blueprints? Um, came out of nowhere for me. This is one of my
Yeah.
top three games of the year. Blueprints. I think it's fantastic. It is. I think I can't remember if I put this in my top whatever list of 2025. I think I was thinking about it. I was like, I'm pretty solid on my assumption of saying this is the best Portal game. This is the best puzzle game since Portal 2. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I genuinely, if you have not played Blueprints, go in with as little knowledge about Blueprints as possible. If you're a fan of puzzle games, I think there's a lot to love. I think this game really respects your time. It's a roguelite, but you're always constantly making progress every run. There's not one single solution to it, so you can constantly feel like you're making progress. Um, you can finish the main goal of the game in roughly about 10 to 15 hours. And if you want to stop there, the game perfectly is more than happy for you to stop, and you feel like you've done your bit and you come to a satisfying conclusion. If you're a sicko that wants to keep playing, there is literally
There's like 8
100
games worth
hours.
of content, yeah.
There's another 8 games after it, and it just keeps going and going and going and going. Um, it's a real love letter to puzzle games. Um, And I think, Tonda Ross has basically said, I don't think I'll ever make a game like Blueprints again. I think he's very
Yeah.
adamant on it. Took a long time and it was very daunting for a first game, but my God, what a game. It's fantastic.
What a game it is, though. I think that put. I don't think this game gets enough credit for simply bringing something new to the table for roguelikes because
A
most
very
roguelikes
strange
don't do
genre.
that anymore.
A
Yeah.
very strange genre where
Like,
it's like everyone's burnt out on roguelites now, I feel like we're
yeah.
getting at that kind of breaking point where it is too many roguelites.
But yeah, this one pulls off a really cool melding of the two genres where the roguelike structure is really complementary to the puzzle situation where, the puzzles at the, room to room level are all well and good. And then I think the roguelike really strengthens like the macro puzzle of trying to get to the room 46. The main goal of the game, I think, is what makes it sing really
It's
well.
it's so good. It's such a good game. So much so that I've just remembered as well how excellent the soundtrack is. Get in the bin, Mario Kart World. Taking your nomination away from you. Blueprints, welcome to the best music category as well. Nomination. The soundtrack to Blueprints is incredible. It's absolutely phenomenal. And the main reason that I'd give it over Mario Kart World, thinking about it now, just 20 minutes after talking about Mario Kart World, is that final theme when you finally crack it, when room 46
Oh,
opens and there's that music that that plays while you're walking, and it was just shivers down my spine the entire time. It's like I have not seen a piece of music be so complimentary to a video game like in that moment where it was just like, oh, it just like I say, it just kind of it almost like unlocked something in my body where I was just like having like I transcended in a way, where it's like I finally got it.
your soul
Yeah,
left your body for a moment.
genuinely,
Yeah.
genuinely fantastic score. It's brilliant. I love Blueprints to pieces. Blueprints is definitely my winner of most slept on game of the year because the fact that it like honestly. I love you, Expedition 33, but my God, you've done a disservice to indie games in a way where it's like
Yeah. No kidding.
Blueprint should have been in the conversation. It just should have. The fact it wasn't, disastrous. Um. So yeah, Blueprints gets my vote. What about you, Hunter?
Oh, I gotta give it to Blueprints as well, as
Oh
far
hell
as
yeah.
just being the thing that I feel like, yeah, uh, was Hitman the hardest this year.
You know, I 100% agree with you, dude. Most slept on game. But you know what we like to do? We like to have a little bit of fun here, Hunter. So I've just realised I am going to do a little bit of a swap in our running order here because I realized that,
Oh, all
it's
right.
really probably for the best that we do both of these two together, right? We've got two very similar categories here, Hunter. So I'm going to start us off with the hotly anticipated game category. This is the category where we talk about our most excited games for next year. Let's look a bit into the future before we dive back into the past. Followed by the Not Gonna Make It award, which is games that are scheduled for 2026 that will not be coming out until 2027 at the earliest. So, Hunter, what are your nominations for the most hotly anticipated game of next year?
Oh, all right. My nominations for this category are Saros, Onimusha, Way of the Sword, Control 2, Resident Evil Requiem, and Phantom Blade Zero.
Cool. And my nominations for the most hotly anticipated game of 2026 are Grand Theft Auto 6, Saros, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, The Duskbloods, and Resident Evil Requiem. I feel like every time I want to say the word Requiem, I have to go Requiem. I feel like it needs like a roll on that R, I feel like it's a powerful word, Requiem. Um, I mean, GTA 6 is on there because I'm a Rockstar fan. I'd rather they make 6 million more Red Deads before another GTA because I'm a sicko, but
Yeah.
I'm still excited because it's going to be like the biggest day in gaming history, It's going to break
At this
records.
point, you just need to get the
It's an
monkey
event.
off the back of
It's an
the
event,
industry
dude.
at large.
It's an avatar. It's an avatar. It's an Avengers Endgame. It is one of those world events where we will be there. I will be playing it. And, will it live up to expectations? Let's find out. It's going to be interesting. We've both got Saros. We love Returnal. We love Housemarque in this
Yeah,
household. Um, so
I
it,
think
yeah,
this is yeah, the Saros is hopefully gonna hit for the wider people in the way that Returnal should have. I
yeah.
hope that Housemarque gets all of the flowers that they deserved then this time, and I think it'll probably be just as good, if not better.
You've put Onimusha.
Oh yeah, I'm super jazzed to see how this goes. Capcom giving me what I want as far as bringing back old series that they just put on ice for 2 generations of consoles. And it looks pretty good from what they've got going on here. It seems like they're kind of walking this in between line of kind of the same way that the old series did, where it's not quite the crazy combos that Devil May Cry had, but it also doesn't really look like a Souls like either. So, you know, I think that's a cool in between point for it to have. And the characters that they've shown off seem like wacky goobers. So they've got that part down too.
Speaking of, Souls likes in a way, you've got Phantom Blade Zero, which is a
Yeah.
action game cross Souls like that has finally been dated for September of 2026, if I remember correctly. Um,
Yeah, September.
you still excited? You still looking
Oh,
forward to
yeah.
it?
All the stuff that seems to be at your disposal in that game looks really cool. I'm excited to see if they hit the landing.
Uh, Coincidentally, I've put the Dustbloods. I'm very interested in the Dustbloods. It's the Switch 2 exclusive FromSoft game. The reason I am excited about it is because, I'm interested to see what this gameplay loop is like, because to me, Elden Ring Night Rain, I tried it. It wasn't for me. It just didn't work for me. The idea of like this really quick, fast-paced 20-minute Elden Ring cycle just was doing nothing for me personally.
Yeah.
Whereas the Dustbloods, if the Dustbloods is what I think the Dustbloods is, which in my headhunter, they said it's 8-player video. So my hope is it's Bloodborne with 8 people in the world, and you fight a load of people to gain power so that you beat the crap out of each other at the end. The last person standing is what I
Yeah,
believe the
yeah.
game's gonna be. I think that could be a very fun time. Saying that, it's also on Switch 2, so it could be disastrous
Rough.
because FromSoft isn't the best at optimizing games, even at the best of times. But I'm interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have both got the same one, but I'll leave that one to last. Control.
Oh, yeah. Control 2. This one that kind of I know that they were talking about it before they announced it at the Game Awards, but it's
Hmm.
one that kind of snuck up on me as far as
Resonant, another
I
game that
wasn't
I feel like
I wasn't
deserves the
really
role.
yeah,
No.
I wasn't really ready to be excited for it, and but it looked really good. And Control was already really good with all of its cool superpower stuff going on in the first game, so I'm interested to see what they do.
100%. Speaking of pseudo sequels, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Um, this is kind of just an Ethan game. And what I mean by that is Nintendo went, hey, Ethan really likes Fire Emblem Three Houses. Let's make a pseudo sequel to it that's set a couple of 100 years in the future from what the looks of it. And I'm like, let me in, open the doors, I'm back, baby. Engage was the worst thing I've ever played in my life, but I'm back. Let me in, knock, knock.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm very excited for Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave. For me, that is hopefully if it comes out in the first half of 2026. That's like my first big Nintendo Switch 2 game where I'm actually like genuinely like, oh, here we go. Let's see what a next gen Fire Emblem game is like. I can't wait.
Yeah.
The first Fire Emblem game of a generation is usually the best one. So
Yeah.
that has been the tradition for at least the past 3 generations of Nintendo consoles. The 3DS Awakening was the best one. Switch, Fire Emblem Three Houses was the best one. Hopefully, Switch 2, Fortune's Weave is the best one. Um,
Actually, hopefully the ones after that are even better, but
yeah, you can dream, but I'm just hoping at least if we get a good first one, then at least we can go. We've at least had a good Fire Emblem game,
at least we had that one, yeah.
But no, I love Three Houses. Three Houses is like top 5 Switch games for me. Like I think it's brilliant. My dream is for a Switch 2 edition of it. For the love of anything Nintendo, I would give you at least 2 of the co-hosts of this podcast at some point or another in exchange for it. I won't say which ones. I won't say which
Oh yeah,
ones.
you're leaving a
But I
lot
will
of
give at least 2 of them for a
room.
Switch 2 edition, you know? Send them to the Nintendo mines for all I care, as long as I get that Switch 2 port. Thank you. And then Resident Evil Requiem, Hunter. Requiem.
Oh man, this game looks like it's gonna be real good. Like potential to be like one of the best in the series.
It's here's the thing, right? Is it's like it's even got me, someone who was not particularly interested in playing it, and now I'm like, oh, it's half Resi 4. Oh, I feel like I might have to play it now if it's half Resi 4. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like Resident Evil 4 was one of my favorite. The remake was one of my favorite games of 2023. I adored it. I genuinely adored it, which I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. I've replayed that game 6 times, which is very rare for me to do. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm very much looking forward to it. The mixing of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 together to make this kind of ultimate Resident
Those are the
Evil
two
game.
best in the series, so if
Yeah.
that's like what you're working with is the DNA of it, I think that you're off to a good start if you pull it off.
From the director of Resident Evil 7 as well. So it's like, you know, there are
Yeah, so
there's
he knows what
plenty
he's
of
doing.
there's plenty of, you know, there's plenty of good vibes and energy going into Requiem. Capcom seems pretty confident, so Godspeed. Hunter, what's your pick going to?
Oh, I'm gonna put it on Saros. I think that's the one that I've got the most kind of excitement for. It's tough between that and Resident Evil, but I think that Saros is. I've been jazzed for that like since they announced it.
Yeah. You know what? I will go. We'll go with 2 winners for this one, because I'll go with Resident Evil. So you can have your cake and you can eat it too. You know what I mean? Because I'm very much looking forward to Fortune's Weave. I'm excited for. We've only had a teaser trailer though. You know what I mean? I need the actual.
Yeah,
I need the main course. I need
the juice.
the juice to properly debate it. So yeah, congratulations to Resident Evil Requiem and Saros. You are our most anticipated games 2026. Now, I know some people will be saying, but what about GTA? Well, let's talk about our next category. It is the most they're not going to make it award. This is the category where we say what games we think are not going to show up next year and are going to get nuked out of orbit to probably 2028. Hunter?
Yeah, so mine for this one are Wolverine, the
Mm-hmm.
Insomniac game,
Yeah.
you know, hotly anticipated. Phantom Blade 0,
Yeah, fair.
Control 2,
Yeah, fair.
Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah,
and I forgot to write a 5th one down.
that's fine by me. I'll make it up for you. My 5 not going to make it awards go to Wolverine, Grand Theft Auto 6, Control, The Duskbloods, and Half-Life 3. People are
Which
riding,
hasn't even been officially announced.
but people
yet.
are riding that They're riding that copium to the bank, Hunter. They are riding it to the bank. You know.
No.
Everyone's blaming RAM now. I think the funniest sentence. If you had told me last year that people are saying that Half-Life 3 is delayed because of the RAM shortage, I feel like I would have laughed you out of the room. But that seems to be where we're at.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think most of these are pretty obvious. GTA 6. I want to put this on record now. You know, end of 2025. I'll put this on record. I do think GTA is coming out in 2026. It's had the same amount of delays as Red Dead, which is usually which was the same amount of delays as GTA 5 had. So, you know, I feel like we were always joking that there was another 3 release dates ahead of it, and we've had the 3 release dates now. This is kind of the one where I'm like, yeah, November 2026 makes sense. That feels like GTA 6's release date.
As long as the team doesn't try to unionize again.
Oh, we don't, you know, get the shotgun out on to take them out back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like this is the time for it. Wolverine. I also think Wolverine will probably come out. It's one of those.
I think it's likely to.
ones.
It's just one of those situations where because it's slated for the fall, that's the thing with these games that are slated for the fall here, like Wolverine and Phantom Blade. If there's a hiccup,
Yeah.
in the development. I feel like they're rather than delay it and try to have to share space with Grand Theft Auto, they'll just be like, coming next year.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's no shadow of a doubt that Wolverine is looking at October or May. Like it will just launch itself out of the orbit, you know? Like it won't even think about it. Um Dustblood's similar reason. Elden Ring was slated for this year on Switch and has been pushed to early next year. So to me, this, Dustblood's 2026. From have delayed games in the past. I think they could delay games again. So Dustbloods to me could very much likely not release next year.
Yeah, especially since we've only seen the one thing from it.
And then Control. Half-Life 3, like I said, RAM shortage. It's not been formally announced yet. I just think it's funny to put it on here as because it is an
Yeah, people
actual.
are just bigging this up as a concept because of the Steam Cube.
Yeah, but and also because we know it's real. That's the thing, is we know it's real now because of all the leaks and all the data mines and stuff like that. We know it's real. But it's interesting now that just 12 months, later, we can actually say it's real. It's just, will it actually finally appear? We'll find out, I guess. The big one for me, Hunter, is Control. That is the big one for me, is
I
you
was
come out of
genuinely
nowhere.
shocked to see it with a 2026 at the end of that trailer. I was like, "What? What do you mean?"
Dude, it's the big one for me. It genuinely is, where I'm like,
Yeah.
will you heck have this out in 2026? I would love to see it. I don't believe you. Because if you were the first half, you'd have a date.
Yeah, that's true. If it was ready to come out in anywhere from January to June,
Yeah.
it would have a date with it.
And I'm
But
like, to me, in my eyes, Hunter, Control 2 is either August or next year. Like, that's where
yeah,
it'll
it's one of
land.
those things. If it is closer or if it is further along than I would expect it to be, I think maybe what they're doing is trying to suss out other people's release schedules because of so many people
Yeah,
running
yeah.
from Grand Theft Auto this year.
Hmm. You can't keep running forever.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, if I was a betting man, that's the one that I'd go with. My not gonna make it award goes to Control 2. Um,
Oh, yeah, I think that's the most likely.
well, there we go then. Congratulations, Control. I'd love for you to prove us wrong. We have had, as far as I'm aware, we have had an excellent track record for this award, mainly because for the past 3 years we've just been saying GTA lol and it just keeps working. But we're running out of
And
GTA lol
before that, we
space.
were going,
Tears of the
haha,
Kingdom. Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. It's always
Um,
been fairly,
so come on, Control, break the streak. And if you don't break the
yeah.
streak, just be a year delay and not be like the others that have held it for multiple years in a row. That'd be fantastic. Anyway, let's go back to some normal categories, shall we? This is
Yeah.
the hottest performance. This is the award for what we think are the best performances in the year 2025. I will go with mine first. Ben Starr for Verso in Expedition 33. Jennifer English for Mael in Expedition 33. No, I'm joking. I'm not going to do that, man. I'm not crazy. Charlie Cox. No, the main reason I didn't put Andy Serkis is because I knew Hunter would put Andy Serkis. So I was like, I'm not going to waste 3 slots on Expedition 33. Who am I? Jeff Keighley? No.
That's always the funny thing with this category specifically is I feel like we always play around each other where it's like, all right, so if
Yeah.
he's gonna say this one, then I'm gonna say this other person because they also deserve the thumbs up from the same game.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's how you've got to play it, mate. Troy Baker as Higgs in Death Stranding 2, not as Indiana Jones, you absolute
The
stupid
nomination he
people.
should have had.
The nomination he should have had. Thank you very much. Aaron Paul as Robert Robertson in Dispatch. And Annie Warburton, who I cannot say who they play, but it is from everyone's favourite game, Blueprints. Cannot say what character that they play because that is a spoiler, but she's in Blueprints and she's nominated for my best performance of the year. Hunter, go for it.
All right, so I've got Kimberly Woods as Alta in Wanderstop, Andy Serkis as Renoir in Expedition 33, Logan Cunningham as like a dozen people in Hades too,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Susie Young for Hinako Shizumi in Silent Hill F, and Luca Marinelli as Neil Vana in Death Stranding 2.
There's been plenty of incredible performances this year. Um, I what I love about this year is it's a real testament to the wide array of performances that we've had, that there are so many different genres, there are so many different characters that are here. A lot of the times it is just protagonist A from major video game, protagonist B from major video game, and you still have them here, but it is, you know, you have got Susie, who's doing a, female lead in a horror game. You've got Ben Starr and Jennifer that are doing like a big RPG performances. You've got Troy and you've got Andy, who are and Luca to an extent that are doing these big kind of more, villain performances in
Antagonistic roles, yeah.
antagonistic roles. You've got Logan Cunningham who does a variety of performances. You've got Aaron Paul who is doing such a good job in Dispatch. There's such a wide array of performances. I literally could have picked out 20 or 30 performances this year. They're
Yeah,
all
there's a lot.
fantastic. Um, like I say, it's always a hard one because it's like where do you grade performances, right? Where do you, you know, the only thing I can say as someone who has been a professional actor at a certain point in their life, that means that I have got the credentials to judge and call people trash now. But I do have, I know how hard this is. I know how hard giving such a good performance is because a lot of the
Yeah.
times you don't. So it's like it's very difficult to kind of, go which one of these do I think resonated the most? And from my two anyway, because we could talk about these all day. The two that go in my head, Hunter, from my lot in particular, are Troy Baker as Higgs.
Yeah.
I did not need more of Higgs after Death Stranding 1. I liked Higgs in Death Stranding 1, but I wasn't craving for more Higgs.
Neither was I. And then he showed me him in the Crow power armor suits in the trailer, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
let's go.
But I genuinely think there is a scene at the end of this game, of Death Stranding 2, that is quite possibly one of Troy Baker's best performances that he's ever done, and that's saying something as it's flipping Troy Baker, right? It's
Yeah, he's done a lot, and a
he's done
lot
a
of it's
lot,
been really good.
but there's one scene near the end of the game where it's just so emotive, and he just genuinely, the tone completely shifts straight, and it's just an incredible performance. I genuinely think it's one of the best performances that I've seen in video games in a long time. And then you've also got my other pick, which is Ben Starr, who Verso as a character is extremely complex and is extremely, deep. There are
A
so many
very nuanced
layers to his
performance.
performance. And he just does so much with that role. He's one of those characters where if you play through the game a second time, if you play through, there's things you pick up each and every time that he hides behind his performance, and it's just, again, it culminates in this final scene that is just, brilliant. Like it genuinely
Yeah.
is fantastic. I think Jen is also fabulous in the game as well.
Yeah,
But
she did a
also,
really great job.
yeah, but Jen, Jen has had so many flowers that I'm like, hey, I know Ben is loving that Jennifer's getting all the attention and he's, number one fan. And I'm like, that's great. But Ben, can we also appreciate how much work you put into that performance and how good you are as well? Because you're phenomenal. Hunter, any highlights you wanted to pick out in particular from yours?
Um, One I'll go with here is Luca Marinelli. I think has perhaps the most memorable performance in just the frame that he's in near
Yeah.
the end of the game for Death Stranding 2 is the part of the game that sticks out in my head the most. And I think he does a really great job at maximizing his limited screen time to just be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, Kimberly Woods as Alta did a really great job, like portraying this kind of toxic. It's like a toxic relationship with what you do.
Hmm.
Kind of like I have to get back to it, can't relax, need to be myself again, kind of thing. That I feel like there weren't a whole lot of voice lines in Wander Stop, but all of them were done by her, and they were all really well done and portrayed that way.
Hmm.
Uh, Renoir, as we've been saying since the Game Awards nominations with Andy Serkis, he did a really great job at portraying the depth that is present with that character. You know, it's easy to write him off as just kind of generic bad guy in the RPG at first, and then you really do come to see that there's a lot more to him than that. And he, they peel back the layers of it really excellently throughout the game, I would say.
I think the brilliant thing about Andy Serkis is, you know, he's been doing voice performances and he's been doing performance capture in particular. He's a pioneer of performance capture.
Yeah.
Um, he knows what he's doing, and the fact that he can, portray such a complicated character with such ease is, it's a real, testament to his craft and the fact that he's able to, do so much with the screen time that he's given with Renoir. Um,
Yeah. I appreciate that it's not phoned in just because a lot of
100%.
times with these celebrities,
And I mean, I can say that
yeah,
about,
it is.
yeah, I can say that about all the celebrities. It's one of those years where I'm
Yeah.
genuinely looking at a lot of the celebrity performances when I look at, Charlie Cox had a couple of nominations, and yeah, he may have only done 8 hours of work, but he
They were
also
still really good.
they were 8 fantastic hours. I'm sitting there, Aaron Paul in Dispatch, that could have been the easiest paycheck of his life, Yet
Yeah.
he genuinely gives the best performance in that game, and it's not even. I'm not sitting there going, that's Aaron Paul. I didn't for a second go, oh, that's Aaron Paul, just doing Aaron Paul things. Like, he genuinely is incredible in that game. I sit there and I look at a load of the characters in Death Stranding 2, and there were plenty of actors that were in the original Death Stranding where I'm like, okay, yeah, you're there, but also you're just kind of there for the sake of it, There's no real depth there. It's like, I like Norman Reedus, but there's no real depth there. Um, but it's like I like a lot of the stuff that Norman was doing this time around. I liked a lot of the stuff
Yeah.
that Al Fanning was doing, Lea Seydoux. There's so many good, quote unquote celebrity performances this year that weren't phoned in. Where this would have been one of the only years, Hunter, where I would literally be sitting there, and if there was a couple of celebrities there, I would be like, yeah, fair play. They did do some great performances
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
definitely.
Um, Hunter, what's your favorite performance of the year?
Oh. Um I think for this one I'm gonna go with Logan Cunningham just because the guy is a chameleon. As far as the only reason I know he's so many people in Hades is because I read the credits and know better already. I don't think that people coming into the game without that kind of knowledge would pick up on it, that like Hades and Kronos have the same voice.
Mm,
And then also Poseidon has the same voice, and then also Polyphemus has the same voice. It's one of those things where being able to portray so many people differently is something that always impresses me, especially
hmm.
when they're interacting with each other back and forth. You
Totally.
know,
Um, yeah, mine goes to Ben Starr for Versa for Expedition 33.
well deserved.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant performance. Without going into the too many spoilers. Um,
Two-time HGA winner
two
Ben Starr.
two-time HGA winner Ben Starr. Congratulations, buddy. Um, but literally anybody could have.
Yeah,
Anybody, literally, there's so many performances. Like, even I didn't even talk about Annie Warbur's performance, but there's like just the monologue that she has at the end of Blueprints. I just sit there and I'm like, that end scene has, again, with the music and her performance, genuinely, I'm just like, it just moved me. And there's more to her in the game if you keep diving in deeper. And I'm just like, just excellent direction, just excellent voice direction. It just nails it. Anyway, next up is hottest indie game, where this is for the game that has we're going by Jeff Keighley rules here. This is for the game that had less than $10 million spent on it. Am I right, fellow indie
Yeah.
gamers? Am I right? Yeah, that's what we love in this household. Um, my nominations for in fact, you do yours first. You do yours first.
Alrighty. My nominations for Best Indie this year are Blueprints, Hollow Knight Silksong, Hades 2, Wanderstop, and Lost in Random, The Eternal Die.
My nominations are Blueprints, Sword of the Sea, Hollow Knight Silksong, Dispatch, and Peak. Now, there's one game missing from yours, Hunter. There's two games missing from mine. Expedition 33, I am just in the ballpark of that not being an indie game. It's got that much money thrown at it at this point where I'm like, what are we defining as an indie game? That's, in my mind, that is where I draw the line, is, $10 million and a team of 30 odd people. That's where I'm drawing the line of, we need a different category if we're going to celebrate that.
Yeah, for me, Kepler themselves have described it as double A.
Yeah, which I think is a
So that's what
perfectly
it
valid
is.
term. Yeah, I think that's
You
a
know?
perfectly valid term. But I'm also being like, I'm being arsey now, where I'm also not that I didn't nominate Hades 2 for it either. Because I love Hades 2. I think it's fantastic. I also think Supergiant now is working above that level. That's where I think they're at now, is I think they're above that level. I think they are also in the double A space, because it's not a particular, it's a small team, but still quite substantial in comparison to some of these other teams. And I was just like, there are so many games here. There's so many games this year that have been made by one or two or three people that I'd much rather go and give them their flowers this time around than Supergiant, who have had plenty of flowers given to them, and they're fantastic at what they do. I've just given them the Action Adventure Game Award, dude. I don't need to give them more flowers. And they had a bunch of Nintendo money chucked at them. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Is they literally were like, Nintendo were like, here, catch, and then they caught all that Nintendo
It worked
money.
so well the first time.
Yeah,
We also don't have anything else this year.
Yeah, totally. And it worked.
Yeah, it did.
But yeah, as for my other picks, again, that game company, Sword of the Sea, again, tiny team of devs that just make these kind of games every once in a blue moon. Similar to like Team Cherry, they just kind of show up. Here they are.
Yeah.
Very tranquil game. I very much enjoyed it. There's just the art of surfing in the desert on a sword, which is a lot of fun.
The water coming into the desert when you unlock it every time was just a very pleasing sensory experience.
It was one of those games where I played through most of it for the podcast, and I was like, it's fine. And then I played it through a second time later in the year, because I was like, all right, I'm bored. I've got an hour free. I've got 2 hours free. Let's just play it out, because then I was playing it with like a reviewer's head of going, okay, what's the gameplay loop? How are we feeling about this? What's the vibe here? I was trying to assess it, and I was like, let's just sit down on the sofa and just zone out and play it like they probably intended, which is just a zone out game. And I just played it through it all in one sitting, and I was like, I get it now. What a fantastic little experience of a 2 or 3 hour just, muck about, do some sick Tony Hawk's tricks, and be on with my day. Fantastic game. I think it's great. Blueprints, I've sung his praises enough. I think Tonda Ross is a genius. He's brilliant, etc., etc. Silk Song, team of 3 people. It was one of the most anticipated games of all time, and I think for most people, it delivered on that hype.
It crashed the stores.
It crashed the stores. Like I say, fundamentally an excellent video game. Peak came out of nowhere. Aggro Crab and Landfall just kind of created this little indie darling of a multiplayer game, which I think is just so much fun and deserves all its flowers. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And Dispatch, a game that again kind of came out of nowhere. It was a game that wasn't supposed to be made. The team were working. It was a team of Telltale kind of I don't know what the best word,
remnants.
nomads, yeah, like, kind of,
Yeah.
people who had, had run away, and they were originally making, Wolf Among Us Season 2. They left that, had this idea for a TV show that wasn't working very well, and Critical Role were just like, "Hey, we'll help you make it. It seems like a cool idea for a video game." Um, and again, I was sitting there and I'm like, I basically was sitting there, I was like, "Okay, do I talk about Hades 2 for the 17th time, or do I talk about a similar
Mhm.
kind of scale thing where it was like this kind of this game that shouldn't have been made, and the team at Critical Role picked it up. They were like, "Yeah, all of us will do voices in it. We'll get it. We'll get it to a place where we can kind of get people's eyes on it." And then the internet, we all gave it a shout, and it actually turned out to be probably the best Telltale game ever made. So you're like, "Hey, fair play. I think it's brilliant. I think it's great." And the fact that it was by a team that was that small that made a game like, what Telltale had hundreds of employees for. I think is brilliant. I
Yeah.
think it's a real testament to them. Over to you, Hunter.
Yeah, so I've got here, blueprints we've already talked about a lot. Silk Song,
Really?
like we mentioned, crashed the stores, 3 people, and I think delivered as
Yeah,
far
yeah.
as what I was expecting after finishing up
Totally.
uh, the first one. Hades 2, talked about plenty, and we'll continue to talk about.
Fantastic game.
Wanderstop, you know, very cool assembly of prior talent coming together to make something it's something brand new and I think really good. And then Lost in Random, The Eternal Die, another really solid roguelike that came out in a time where it kind of just got swept aside.
Some fantastic games.
Yeah,
For me, my winner is is not surprising for most people. My winner for hottest indie this year is Blueprints. I just think it's magic in a ball. It's great. It's fantastic. Um, Play it if you haven't already. Hunter, what's your pick?
Uh, in the spirit of saying that Super Giant is the level above indie now, I will award my best indie to Wanderstop.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Don't worry. Supergiant has already won more awards here than it did at Jeff Keighley's show because they've got two now. So,
Super Giant's gonna break the record this time.
but no. I mean, it's always hard. I think indie as a category is getting harder and harder. I think that, like I say, I think that I don't know. I don't know if we need, like I say, you need a true category that's like, a
Yeah.
proper small team category, and then just, I don't know, independent game which is not backed by a
Yeah,
publisher or something like, I don't
yeah, it's
know.
one of those things,
It's hard.
because like for me it mostly is just kind of a vibe check
Yeah,
at
yeah.
this point, where people trying to be like independent as in not owned by anybody. It really does feel like you're hitting a level of pedantry that's annoying sometimes, like, trying to make the argument for Baldur's Gate to be nominated for an indie category. Be reasonable, please.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anyway, next up is the wish we had time for category. This is the category where we talk about the games we wish we had time to play this year. Um my nominations for the wish we had time for category is the 100 Line Last Defense Academy, Hollow Knight Silksong, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, and South of Midnight. Hunter?
My nominations are the Oblivion remake, Final Fantasy Tactics, Ninja Gaiden 4, Absolum, and Routine.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I did play a lot of what I wanted to play this year. I won't lie to
Me too.
you. A couple of mine, like Hyrule Warriors and Oblivion, were games that I started, that I played for about 4 or 5 hours, and then just never got around to going back to. They're games that I know I probably will play in the next year or two, where I'm like, yeah, I'll be feeling you, and then I'll get it done. They're both, what they say on the tin, basically. South of Midnight is just the one kind of Xbox Studios game this year that kind of got away. I never had a chance to try it. I at least tried all the other Xbox releases this year. This was one that I
Yeah.
just didn't. Um, so I'd like to at least give it a bit of a try. I think I did. I think I might have downloaded it, played it for like 20 or 30 minutes, and I was like, I'll get to you. And it's like, you know what I'm like. If I don't get onto it straight away, I'm very rarely
Yeah.
likely to bounce
Bounce
back.
off of it.
Um, Silk Song is just because I haven't played Silk Song. It's like, again, big tentpole release of the year. I wasn't a huge fan of the original Hollow Knight, so I didn't want to just jump into Silk Song and go, I don't like this either, when I didn't give the original a fair shake. So it's one of those ones
Yeah.
where eventually I'll play Silk Song once I have given the original a fair crack again. Um, and then my winner will be the 100-line Last Defense Academy, because I'm a real sicko,
You'll never
right?
have enough time for it, according to what everyone says.
Yeah, I mean, in the interest of transparency, I wrote these nominations, and then the day after I wrote them, the Last Defense Academy went on sale on Steam, and I saw there was a demo, so I played the first hour of the demo to try and get an idea of, hey, is this the Christmas game that I've been looking for? And I played it for an hour, and I was like, this is fine. I also don't want to spend $40 on it though, so I'm still in that camp where
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's fair.
bit cheaper, then I'll maybe you know, give it a good idea. But it's kind of up my alley. It's a tactics game, which I'm always a bit Marmite on, but I've known to like some. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's also, it's from the creators of
It just
Danganronpa
tickles
and
the
AI the
Danganronpa
Somnium
sicko
Files.
inside of
Yeah.
us.
Just a little bit. I mean, just a little bit. I mean, the start of it, it's like there's a mascot. You get sent to a high school. Now you're fighting on the front lines against these random alien weird looking things. It definitely does scratch that itch a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I'm also the sicko though, that like I enjoy the killing game aspect of Danganronpa because I'm getting rid of characters that I don't like. And I'm
Yeah.
also just kind of like it keeps things interesting. Whereas, oh, you've just you need to just band together and survive. I'm like, that's less interesting of a concept, isn't it? It's like here's Fire Emblem, but you only get 10 people. And I'm like, you gotta have a cast of
Theoretically, it's
you
like
gotta have
one
a
of those
cast of
things
20 or
where
so, don't you? If you
if you
wanna
believed that all 8 of those people were going to be really good characters, then I would
Mhm.
say it's better because, I'd rather have 8 good characters than 16 that are bad with maybe 2 that are solid, you know? But, I'm not really sure that that's how it would shake out with this game anyway, so
Hmm.
I understand why you're like, "Oh, well,
I just
that's
think,
less interesting."
I was like, I thought there was gonna be like 16 characters, like normal. So I had a couple of people that if I was
I sure have seen art that would imply that it's that way. I feel like I've seen art with, like,
that's what I thought.
16 or
I
so.
thought it was more. It's not. It's not. It's literally it's like 10 of them. It's a much
Really?
smaller cast than I thought. Yeah. So I'm interested. I'll get around to it eventually. I hope. Hunter, do you want to walk through yours and deem a winner?
Alright, so Oblivion's on here because Oblivion is kind of the Elder Scrolls game I always wish I had played instead of Skyrim. It just always seemed like it tickled the interest a bit more and never really had the
If you
occasion to
say
get to
so.
it.
If you say so. The sicko say Morrowind's where it's at. So it's the further
I'm just
back you get.
talking about
Yeah,
ec
it's Persona syndrome, dude. It's Persona syndrome though. It's like, oh, I wish I played 4. Then the 4 sickos are like, I wish I played 3. And then the 3 sickos are like, I wish I'd played 2. And then no one played 2, so that's where it stops. Um, but yeah,
yeah, but,
it's good though. It
Final
is
Fantasy
good.
Tactics yeah. Final Fantasy Tactics is another one that, I haven't played yet. Would love the time to play. Have always been kind of interested in it, and now there's a modern way to get to it with, like, voice acting and stuff, so that's
Harry
nice too.
McIntyre's in it, and Ben Starr's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden 4 is, Ninja Gaiden is a hack and slash series that I've not actually made my way into yet, and um, Ninja Gaiden 4 seems like a great way to start.
Yeah.
um, Absolum is one where it just has been all the praise that it's been getting has interested me. I think it looks pretty cool. It's got a great art style, so
Mm.
if it does the job as far as the action that it's presenting, I'm fascinating. And then Routine is this first person kind of retro tech horror game that came out kind of under the radar this year. I I'll be honest, this wasn't super on my radar until apparently one half of the team that made Signalis was like, this is really good. So now like
Let's give it a go.
I have to look at
Yeah, yeah.
it. I think the winner I'll deem this by probably what I'm most likely to get to first if I get to one of these soon. And I would say that that is Ninja Gaiden 4.
Congratulations. Uh, yeah, it's always an interesting category. I'm still like years behind on mine. My wish I had time for is it's like, bro, I think I'm finally gonna get around to Persona 5 Tactica, and that was like on my wish I had time for
Yeah.
like 2 years ago. Like like, I'm running in
I hit 4 out of
slow
5
motion.
of mine from last year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My
This
name's
time.
Hunter, and I play video games. Get in the bin, mate. Get in the bin.
uh,
It's not my problem that I was too busy playing random crappy demos for games on Steam. Dude, do you know what? I spoke about VGC a little bit earlier. You know what's a game that I played the demo of like a couple of weeks ago? It's a game called Rakoyen, and it's like
Rockwin?
no
The
Rakoyen,
Laura Shigehara?
no
No?
Rakoyen.
Okay.
Like those coin machines. I don't know if you ever had them in America where you put like a 10 cent in and it's like like it pushes the coins
You push
down.
it in
Yeah.
and it does the little thing.
And it pushes like more coins down, and then you drop coins in the tray, and then you can put those coins back in. It's like
Yeah.
that, but like a roguelite. So you like push coins in, and you can push different kinds of coins in, and it's like that to me. That's like my Balatro. Like that is the kind of thing where I'm like, ooh, coin pusher Balatro. That sounds sick. So look out for that in
I
2026.
saw
Game of the
another
century.
one at some point in the past few months that was like Balatro but slot machine, and I don't remember
Yeah.
what
Oh,
that one was called.
what's? Yeah, I know which one you're on about.
Clover Pit?
Yes.
Aha! I'm a genius.
Yeah, it's Clover Pit. But yeah, Rakoyen, keep that on your radars, guys, because it is literally like one of those old like 10p coin pushers, but it's a roguelite. And it's like a dopamine hit. Um, so yeah, we love a good roguelite here. Next up, hottest narrative. This is the award for the game that had a good story in that. So, Hunter, what are your nominations?
My nominations are Wanderstop, Expedition 33, Hades 2, Death Stranding 2, and Detective Instinct Farewell, My Beloved.
My nominations for hottest narrative, there's only 3 this year, for me, is Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, and Dispatch. Um, Listen, it's been a fantastic year for video games. A brilliant year. It's not been the best year for cohesive narratives. It's not been the
Yeah, it's
greatest
been
year for
story
narratives.
light as far as the things that I've played this year.
Mhm. Um, the one that's on my list that isn't on Hunters because he hasn't played it is Dispatch. Like I say, I think it is the best
I'm sure I
Telltale
would
game.
agree if I had played it. Yeah.
The writing is just so well done. It's just this mixture of, again, you can tell when as soon as I saw in the trailer, it's like from the creators of The Wolf Among Us and Tales from the Borderlands. I was like, oh, here we go. Those are the
The
two
two
best
best
written
ones.
ones. That's crazy. And then I played it. And I was like, yeah, it's just like that. Sick. Um, it's just so funny. It's so funny and it's so well written. Um, and the performances are just so perfect. The voice cast that they've got for this game is just random. It's like some of the greatest voice actors that you've ever heard in video games. You've got random YouTubers and celebrities, but they've finally picked all of these performers
All
to
of the
be
ones that are perfect.
perfect for the roles that they're in, to the point where it's like I'm sitting there and there's Moist Critical's in it, Jacksepticeye's in it, and you couldn't tell. You genuinely, unless you knew that or was a fan of those YouTubers, you wouldn't sit there and go, oh, that's someone that's just been cast for their name,
Yeah.
because they weren't. It was like it's such a really good narrative, and it doesn't drop the ball. There isn't a slow point. There isn't a point that feels pointless or wasted, like a lot of these adventure narrative games do have a low point. And it sticks the landing, which is like a 10% chance in a Telltale game.
Or narrative choice-based stories in general. Usually the ending is one of the latter parts.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about a couple that you have from yours that are individual?
Alrighty, so here I've got on here Wanderstop. Like I said before, I think it hits on a lot of really good themes as far as being burnt out and
Hmm.
toxic productivity and all of that in a way that, it's hard to describe, but if you play the game, you'll get the point really well. Um, Detective Instinct is one that kind of squeaked in right at the end of my list of games I've played this year. I played this on my Thanksgiving break at work and thought it was a really well put together mystery story. Um, and just, yeah, real solid. I would love to see them do another thing to really uh, see what they can do. And then Hades 2, a bigger, more expansive kind of story. It's almost like it's funny because of the kind of mentor characters you got in these two games, where Achilles was your buddy in Hades 1, and then Hades 2's got Odysseus, where I think that Hades 1 is more like the Odyssey, and I think that um, Hades 2 is more like the Iliad, and the fact that it's like this big, broad war story
Hmm.
and all of that. But I think all the character work and all of the interactions you can get are still really well done and, you know, worth celebrating.
Yeah, I'm just a bit of a curmudgeon, really. The reason I didn't nominate it was because I like Hades 2 and I like its narrative enough. I just think that I was expecting a bit more. I'll be honest with you. I was expecting a bit more. I think the narrative of Hades 1 is fantastic to the point where I was like, "Ooh, I'm really excited to explore that universe again and delve deep into it." And there are still plenty of great character interactions and there's a lot of good writing to be had, but there was a lot of times where I was just going, "Oh, okay, you're the Hades 2 equivalent of this person. You're the Hades 2 equivalent of that person. You're the Hades 2 equivalent of this." And a lot of the times I was sitting there and I'm going, "Yeah, but I kind of miss the Hades 1 person." Like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, "I kind of miss you. I kind of miss you a bit more." The ending, I think, falls flat. I think it's I think it's a pretty widely accepted fact that a lot of people don't like the original ending to Hades 2. Um, they fixed bits and pieces, which I think is a lot stronger now, but there are bits of narrative in the post game that I also don't particularly jive with. It's like there's a lot of stuff where it's like I love it a lot, but there's a lot of stuff I don't. So I just ended up being like, "Hey, I like it. I'll leave it at that." I'm not gonna nominate
Yeah.
you because there's I have enough problems, but it's still good. Um, and the gameplay is that damn good that it doesn't matter anyway. Um, who cares? Just go and beat the living crap out of some demons. Why not? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean the two that we have both put are obviously Death Stranding 2 and Expedition 33. Do you want to
Yeah.
tackle Death Stranding?
Yeah, I think that overall the story for Death Stranding 2 was the thing that was a marked improvement from the
Hmm.
first one,
I agree.
where, you know, um, I feel like there was more care spent in actually telling it to you rather than
Hmm.
waiting till the last 2 hours, which there was still an element of that there in this game, don't get me wrong, but I feel
100%.
like Higgs is a more persistent thread throughout most of the game. All of the secondary characters come together in a way that I feel like is better. The mystery of Neil Vanna is still really compelling at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah,
And it
it's
yeah.
fantastic. It does everything that you want a Death Stranding story to do, but it does it in a more cohesive way. He's still gonna have that moment where, he's expecting you to sit there and watch the game, and like I don't know if he's expecting you to get hit with a sledgehammer halfway through, so that half the things are surprises. That because there's so much stuff in this game where you go, and that's that, and this is this, and then he, goes like 30 hours later, you'll be like, and this is this. And you're like, what? Are you expecting me to have not figured that out? Like, what are we
There's
doing?
something about the fact that it's so committed to the bit
Yeah.
that I
You,
feel
you got to
like
respect
it's
it.
respectable. Where I figured I don't think there was a twist in this game that did take me off guard. I knew the two big ones like straight away. And
the
I'm sure
only
most people
one,
with
the
functioning
only
cognitive ability
the only
also put
one
it
where I
together.
actually sat there and I was like, "That's so stupid." Fair play. I'm surprised I didn't pick up on it. Was, and I won't spoil it for people, but I will just say DHV Magellan is the only thing I will
Yeah.
say. DHV Magellan is the only thing I'll say. Is that was the one where I went, okay, fair play. I
Alright,
didn't get that
fair
one,
enough.
Kojima. You win that round. But everything else is like, it's stuff we had predicted in the trailers. We had inadvertently
Yeah,
spoiled Death Stranding 2 just by talking about it on this podcast beforehand. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I still think it's
I think it's a
fantastic.
testament to the strength of the storytelling, though,
It
that I
doesn't
knew
matter.
what was gonna happen, and, the delivery of it was still went really hard.
I also have to give it to Kojima that he's kind of done he's done a Jimmy Cameron here where he's ended, he's done the Avatar 3 route where he's wrapped everything up but left a single thread, so if they want to
If he
pick it
wants,
up
he
they
can go
can,
back.
and I'm like, fair play. I respect the hell out of that. um and I mean I've said it to you before, Hunter. The game plan should be that, while he's working on Fizzant, he's got to retire at some
Yeah.
point, and I feel like Death Stranding 3 would be a great little game to get somebody else at Kojima Productions to make while he's still there and goes, no, Norman Reedus' shirt is not tight enough, or whatever the weird critiques Kojima will have. Um, Expedition 33, fantastic. Need we say more?
Yeah, what a story.
Again, I've got to say, similar to Death Stranding 2, there's a point in the narrative of Cloud Obscure Expedition 33 where it lost me a little bit. Where,
Yeah.
this game has rug pull after rug pull. This game does have like 3 plot twists in it. And, you know, I kind of expected the first one, although it's a big one. I kind of expected it. I was shocked at the second one. And then the third one, I was like, wait, what? And it did lose me for a little bit, but the narrative is that strong that it pulled me back. And I think that's the kind of the brilliance of it, is that it doesn't hold people's hands. And what I mean by a lot of modern video game narratives are and will hold you by the hand and will spoon feed everything.
Down
There
to how you're supposed to feel.
there is almost a from soft level of narrative here where there is stuff about the painters and there's stuff about the world of Expedition 33
That you could just
that
never
you'll
know.
never know. If you don't read the logs, if you don't engage in the optional boss battles and all that extra stuff, there's so much that you just will not experience. And they're fine with you not experiencing it. And I think that's kind of cool, and I respect the heck out of it. I think this game leaves you with 2 endings that almost feel incomplete, and it does it on purpose.
Yeah.
This game leaves you, um it's not a very happy game, and it doesn't
No,
it
not at
has
all.
it has these moments of levity. It has these moments that uplift you. It's got funny moments. It's got comical scenes. It's got, it's got its moments of joy. But it
It's got
also,
Naruto.
yeah, it also doesn't take away from its low points. It, like I say, it doesn't handhold you, and I really respect it. I finished this game with tears. Like I genuinely, like I ugly cried for a good like 10 minutes. It was not a good. It was not
2
a
days prior
good.
to that, the conversation that we were having was him going, "Oh, it's not that bad. People are soft."
Yeah, well, yeah, because for the rest, I was like, oh, this narrative. It's like I think it's good,
Ugh,
and I'm having some interesting thoughts about it. It's very thought provoking, but it hasn't really emotionally resonated with me that much. And I was like, I don't know if this is
yeah,
because I'm an only child. So it's like I don't have like a sibling kind of relationship with anybody. So I don't know how that feels. I don't know, you know. I'm fortunate enough to have not experienced too much loss in my life. So I don't know how, it's like there's
yeah.
a lot of stuff where it's like I wasn't resonating. And then I got to the end and I ugly cried like it was no one's business. And I remember I was watching someone else play it, and I was watching them get the same ending that I got, and I started tearing up again. I'm like, oh god, no, no, no. It's just one of those endings. It's one of those endings that'll probably always make me cry. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I genuinely do. And again, the fact that they found this writer on Reddit and you just sit there and you go, "What is this video game? What are they doing?"
Yeah.
Brilliant. Um, yeah, Expedition 33 gets my vote for the best narrative of the year.
Yeah, it gets the win here for me too. It's the exact kind of artistically depressing story that I just eat up.
100%. And I think I'm like I'm so interested in what Sandfall does next because there's going to be a lot of eyes on them, and I don't think I don't expect them to just do the same thing again. But
No, definitely not.
I'm interested to see what world they create. I know what you're thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god, look how many timestamps are left. Don't you worry. The rest of these are pretty rapid fire. Don't you worry about it too much, ladies and gentlemen. We will still fall under the Game Awards running time, I assure you. It's time for the hottest backlog game. This is a category that we do where it is uh, the best games that we played that did not release this year. So my nominations for this are Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, Ghost Runner 2, LA Noire, Metaphor Refantasio, and Ollie Ollie 2. Now I cheat with Metaphor because Hunter, guess when I started playing that?
At the end of last year,
That's
right?
correct. No, it was not actually. I'm not cheating with it at all. It was the 3rd of January 2025. So it
Okay,
clears
dude,
the
that
year.
doesn't feel
It,
real.
it clears it. It clears it. Yeah. I think there's a lot of good. I've been obviously carrying on with my Yakuza series playthrough. I played through Yakuza's 5 and 6 this year. Was it just 5 and 6? I don't think I played through 4 this year. I think it was just 5 and 6. And I had a great time. 5 is long and boring and the worst one, like everyone said. And 6 is pretty good. I liked it. It was a good time. Ghost Runner 2 is the sequel to the 2020, I think it was just 2020 platformer. I'm not gonna lie to you. The first half, I played and then I did some impressions on the podcast, and I wasn't too hot on it. Second half of the game's a lot stronger, to the point where I was like, "Ooh,
Oh, brought it
actually,
back.
yeah, you
Nice.
brought it back. It's got some sauce. The last couple of levels are actually fantastic, so still recommend it. It's a good time." Um, LA Noire is a game that had been on my list for years. I had a friend that was like, play LA Noire, you'll like it." And I'm like, "I don't know if I'll like it." I always knew what the ending was, so I was kind of off put to play it. And then I did play it. And I did like it. I thought it was pretty good. I think there's a lot of things to like about Eleanor. I think there's a lot of stuff that's tedious and not fun, but there's a lot to like as well. Um, Metaphor Fantasio was just the one that got away last year. Um,
Yeah.
I played it, and I can't remember if I ever gave my full thoughts on Metaphor Fantasio on the podcast in the end. I think I must
We might
have.
have been on break during your whole
Yeah,
playthrough, so it might have got away.
it might have got away. I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
Pretty good.
Of It's pretty good, but of all the Atlas games that I have completed, it is my least favorite. That's not saying much. Um, I am not a big Shin Megami Tensei fan, so I've never finished one of those, or else Shin Megami Tensei 5 would probably be the lowest on the list. But yeah, it was weird, right? It's as if they took all the things I enjoyed about Persona and they were like, "Oof, tone that down." Oh, Ethan really likes the social
Yeah,
links. Oh, tone them down. Oh,
but
Ethan
they
really
kept the
likes,
calendar
yeah,
system that doesn't
that
really
doesn't
work
really
with
suit
the
it at all. Yeah,
yeah.
the whole time I was sitting there, I was just like, I'd much rather this was a Persona game, and that's like, it kind of sucks, but that's kind of how I was thinking about it. And it wasn't even that I was
Yeah,
sitting there like going,
what
"Oh,
is it,
I
that
wish I was in a
3rd
high
dungeon?
school fighting God." I'm just sitting there going, "I wish it was just more of a Persona game."
Yeah.
Um, that 3rd dungeon is terrible, absolutely
Yeah,
abysmal.
that's oh,
Um, the dungeon designs are just not very good. The first dungeon is not very good. The second dungeon is all right. That Dragon Island one is abysmal, 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 abysmal. It's like one of the worst dungeons I've played in an RPG. It's not good. And everyone's sitting there going, "But it's like Etrian Odyssey," and I'm like, "I don't care. Is
I
Etrian
do
Odyssey
not
dog
care.
shit? Because that's what that dungeon's
There's a
like."
reason though that series has 5 fans, apparently.
I can see why. The level design's atrocious. Um,
Yeah.
But I sat through it and I played it and I was like, I'm having a good enough time, but I don't get the love for it. And that's a shame. So I will just continue to sit and be fine with liking Persona. Um, my dream is still to have a Persona game where, hey, why don't we, like say, age up the characters a bit? Why don't we have a university arc of a Persona game, or just a standard arc of a, or just I would have taken metaphor if it was just, hey, it's Persona, but it's in a fantasy setting. I probably would have liked that
Yeah,
a little bit more. But hey ho, I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. And Ollie Ollie 2 was just a game I platinum this year because I was a sicko and I was like, I tried to do this 13 years ago and I failed. And I did it this year, Hunter, and
mhm,
I succeeded like a flipping champion, mate. God gamer
that's the
that I
spirit.
am. Um, my favorite game that I played this year from my backlog has probably got to be Lenoir. I think it's good.
Lanoir.
It's good. It's good. It's one of those games that's sat with me and I keep having thoughts about it. You know what I mean? Like it's not even
That does tend to be the winner
and
a
it's not
lot of the
even like it's
time.
not even thoughts about it, dude. It'll just be like little like neurodivergent thoughts where it's like, 1940s noir style would make a good episode of Doctor Who. Why? Because I played L.A. Noir and I liked it and I liked Doctor Who. It's just like, like little things like that where it's like, that'd make a good thing of that. Or it's like, hey, I
Yeah,
wish they put that into this. Or I wish this would do that. And it's just like, you have those little thoughts about it and you're like, there must be something about it if you keep having those thoughts 6, 7, 8 months later. There's something about it where you just sit there, you go,
yeah.
yeah, I don't like Homicide that much, but I really liked the arson bit and I really liked the Vice bit. And that first section's I'm like, I just sit there and I'm like, yeah, it's very good. It's a very good game. Fair enough. You did. You clocked me, okay? You profiled me and you got it right. Good job.
That's a hilarious sentence if someone were to hear it out of context. I don't like homicide that much, but I
Oh,
like the
I'm a big
arson
fan of
part.
arson. Yeah, a big fan of arson.
Oh man.
And LA Noir's cool too. Um, Hunter, run us through your backlog games.
All right, so my nominations, are Mouthwashing, Still Wakes the Deep, Armored Core, No Sun to Worship, and Soul Reaver. All of these are the ones that got away to some extent. Um, Last year, I missed out on Mouthwashing. I just didn't have the chance to play it.
Hmm.
One of the first games I played this year, and oh man, what a tone setter! Uh,
I bet.
this game is like the video game equivalent to I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Not necessarily. I know that there's a video game version of that, but what I mean is just the way it makes you feel when you're done with it is like this harsh denial of catharsis that will make you that really makes it just stick in your mouth after you've beat it.
Totally.
Yeah. Still Wakes the Deep is another horror game that I missed out on last year that is equally as good in different ways. I really liked that you're like at ground zero of the inciting incident this time because most horror games you're kind of in the aftermath just trying to survive. I think that the story they told throughout was really solid and oil rigs make for very compelling horror settings. Uh, Armored Core is one I just recently got to. I gave my thoughts on a few weeks ago on the podcast. It's just really a really well done action game.
Hmm.
The way that you move around in that game is still impressive to me. I really enjoy all of the freedom you can have with how you build your mech. And four Gatling guns is just the best setup.
The only way to build a mech, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. No Sun to Worship is one that's from this indie dev that I really like, Merlino Games. It came out a few years ago on PC, but it came to consoles this year. It's this really cool, inspired by like Metal Gear Solid, Peace Walker, Portable Ops kind of stealth game where it's very minimalist. You're running through these missions, just kind of stealthing past people. It's definitely one of those flavors of, oh, don't get caught or you die, not getting caught is something that you can recover from, and I thought it was really well done. And then Soul Reaver, I played a few months ago, and it's I've recognized it very much as the kind of game I would have been obsessed with if I played it in middle school. And playing it as an adult, I still think it's pretty darn good. I'm eager to get to the second one in the kind of early year lull that we have.
Hell yeah. What would you give? What would you give you? What would you tip your cap for, Hunter? Your metaphorical cap.
I'm gonna go with Still Wakes the Deep on this one.
Lovely. Lovely old job. Right then, let us move over to a bit of a goof, a bit of a gaff. It is the Shittest Company Award. Hooray! This is the award that we give to the worst company of the year in video games. What a tough year for video games Hunter this year was, let me tell you. My nominations are Tencent, Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Ubisoft. Hunter, go for it.
EA, Nintendo, PlayStation, Embracer, and Xbox.
Interesting, interesting. Right. So I think there are layers to this. I think there are levels, and I think there are layers. Right.
Yeah.
PlayStation, for the most part, I think has gotten off lightly here this year. PlayStation is mainly on this list this year because they just keep doing these little things that I just do not care about at all. Like they keep
Yeah, just little annoyances.
again, the whole Bungie situation with stealing artwork from, and all that jazz to making a bunch of live service games nobody cares about from the creators of Left 4 Dead, etc., etc., to not releasing games really this year. Like Death Stranding 2 wasn't even theirs really. It's just a Kojima
Yeah.
handout. To just kind of doing crappy practices that they continue to do, like, you know,
Continue to
early
raise
access, yeah,
prices.
raising prices of consoles, early access guff, where it's like, hey, pay $30, $20 more, and we'll give you early access for a couple of hours. I'm like, it's just lame kind of crap. But also the thing that I kind of have to respect them on, and the reason why they're probably not, they're just here because it's a bit of a gaff, really, but
Yeah.
is they didn't raise prices as badly as other companies have this year. The PS, Americans are sitting there going, "Oh, boo hoo, our prices have increased." I'm like, bitch, this is the only time this has really happened to you. Like, this is like the first time as Europe and Japan laugh when
Yeah.
everybody they take the bullet for America each and every time. Um, Also, some of it's out of their control because of tariffs and all that jazz. It's not all in their hands. They're not doing it out of just because they want to. Um, and there has been some good that's come from PlayStation this year. They have tried to reintegrate themselves into the Japanese market. They've released a Japanese-only console to try and boost sales there. They've done stuff. They're trying to step in the right direction. So that's what my thing with PlayStation. Do you have anything to add for PlayStation?
Not really. I think we hit most of the things with PlayStation.
I think
You
they've got
know,
a more optimistic year next year. You've got Saros, you've got Wolverine, you've got the Marvel token fighting souls. That's what I was trying to think of.
yeah.
Um, there's some more optimism there. Nintendo game key cards. That's why you're on here,
Game
Nintendo.
key cards, the they're them being cagey with information
Hmm.
during that Switch 2 reveal direct and all of the information that had to come out afterwards
Yep.
really rubbed me the wrong way and still
Listen,
annoys me looking back on it.
the state of games that are launching, Mario Kart World just patching the fun out of the game for the first few months. What the hell was that all about? Nintendo Switch 2
Yeah.
Welcome Tour, $10 for a thing that should have been free on the Switch, and even then it would have been too expensive. Drag X Drive.
A game that physically harmed you
A
during the
game that
demo.
is still, I look at my chair and there's still scratches on the armrest from when I was prattling about with it. Like, this was a new chair this year. Like, it's not even like it damaged a new chair. So yeah, game key cards are stupid. Here's the thing. Personally, I understand the idea of game key cards. I'm not against game key cards. I understand the idea of the cartridge space isn't, the cartridge speeds aren't fast enough to load games properly. Understand that. Why do we have this full download cart then? Why can't we just copy the data from the cart onto the system like a disc? Like, because there's plenty of game discs that are like that.
Yeah.
You don't play games off the disc on the PlayStation, you copy them onto the hard drive. make it so the data's on the cartridge and you copy it over. Like, I don't understand why we have to do this a quirky little game keycard thing. Like, just let people download it, copy it off the cartridge offline. It's not that, complicated, technically. So yeah, Nintendo's just, like I say, it's just been a very weird year for Nintendo. They've been very anti, communication. And also just like some of the Switch 2 editions and ideas and stuff like that, just rubbing me the
Yeah.
wrong way.
Switch 2 boxes are pretty ugly.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Ubisoft, you can guess why this one's in there. The whole spinning off of their major IPs into a separate company so that the Saudis could invest in it. That's my main takeaway from
Yeah,
Ubisoft this year.
that's a big old problem. I think that them kind of not doing anything for the voice actors that were harassed during the
Assassin's Creed
Assassin's Creed
Shadows, bro.
Shadows thing is not cool in the slightest. Um,
Yeah.
you know.
Like I say, there's plenty to not like about Ubisoft this year. Tencent keep trying to stick their mitts into every bloody developer, franchise, and IP. They're just
Super annoying.
they're just the continued past. Xbox is a big one for me this year. Not only because a
Oh
lot of people
yeah.
are going to talk about the major problems of Xbox. People are going to talk about how the price increases have been huge and massive, which is very valid. People are going to talk about how their communication has been absolutely dire this year, and it's like they feel like they're just setting themselves on fire and just walking away, which, fair enough.
Yeah.
At least be, pretty vocal about it.
This is an Xbox.
This is an Xbox. The Xbox Ally coming out and being ridiculously expensive. That's another one where I'm just sitting there and I'm going, what a weird step
Ah,
and
yes, here's a
direction.
product for people who live in California and only people who live in California.
You'll have to see it. Then there's just the whole issues with Microsoft in general.
Yeah.
You know, whether it is, their kind of all in hands on AI, whether it's their wanting to, again, their explicit use of it in games, especially on the Activision side of things. This isn't even talking about like all of the controversy surrounding Microsoft currently, like the hundreds of thousands of calls that they have stored in their cloud storage of like from Palestine and Gaza. Like, we're not even like, this is like,
Yeah.
they're just on a level right now where it just can't be beat. Like,
Yeah, it's
I don't want to talk about it too
infuriating.
much because I'm not, I don't think the HGO podcast is the place for
It's
heavy
qualified.
political discussions, but I do very much endeavor you to go and check out the People Make Games, a recent documentary about the Xbox boycott
Yeah.
that is currently going on. I guess I'm technically taking part in it because I don't buy anything on Xbox currently. It's just
They
an
don't ever
ongoing
encourage you
subscription.
to.
But I digress. I just want to make that explicitly clear that I'm not doing it as a stance. I'm just doing it by choice, and I'm happy to carry on doing it. But yeah, go check that out because there's so much crap that Xbox and Microsoft are currently in that it's it might make you think twice about everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Hunter, you've got a couple. Have you got Nintendo, EA? That was what you had.
I do have EA.
And
They got
Embracer,
bought out by Saudi Arabia. It's
classic. Another
kind of
Ubisoft.
hard.
Another Ubi
Yeah,
moves.
pretty much. And then Embracer is just I can't really think of anything super specific right off the top of my head right now, but it's like they're still around and they never produce or they never them being around is never good for anybody. You know?
True, true. Normally this category usually ends with the joke of, and they're all losers. Like, congratulations, you all win. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like I have to, in my head, I feel like there are. I feel like the things that we have issues with Nintendo and PlayStation are a lot different to the issues that I have with
With
everybody else on that list. So I'm almost willing
yeah.
to go, hey, Nintendo and PlayStation, congratulations, you get a pass this year because everything everybody else is doing is so much worse. Congratulations. Um,
Yeah, like, PlayStation and Nintendo kinda stop at being a little unsatisfied with their product.
yeah. So congratulations to Tencent, Microsoft, Stroke Xbox, Ubisoft, EA, and Embracer. You are all big losers in my eyes. Flipping act your game up, and by you step it up a little bit. You're all screwed though. Let's be honest. You're all just kind of
Yeah.
screwed. Um. Anyway, moving on to the exclusive categories. These should be pretty quick. Uh,
Yeah.
we have a bunch of exclusive categories starting with PlayStation. PlayStation should be the easiest to go through because my goodness, my golly gee, we do not actually have too many games to talk about here. Hunter, what are your nominations?
My nominations are Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding 2.
Really? That's
Like, I
crazy.
I tried
Um,
really hard to scour for, like, something else that could have fit the bill, and all I was coming up with really was Lost Soul Aside, and I wasn't putting that down.
um, yeah, mine are DS2 Ghost of Yotei and Dispatch because it is still technically an exclusive until January 2026. So that counts as an exclusive for this year.
Did not come to Xbox, really.
Nope, it's a PlayStation exclusive. PlayStation and PC.
Amazing.
Yep. My winner for this is ugh, I'm gonna say just for the integrity of the vote, Death Stranding 2, because it is a true exclusive currently, whereas Dispatch has been on PC and is announced for Nintendo. Whereas currently, as of
Yeah.
recording, Death Stranding 2 has not been announced for PC, even though it's basically been leaked. Um, so that's where my vote goes for. I assume you're the same, Hunter.
Yeah, Death Stranding over Ghost of Yotei for me.
What a shocker. The world is shocked. Shall we move on to Xbox? See, I told you it'd be quick.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Xbox, despite the metaphorical and dare I say literal war crimes, have actually released some video games this year. I just want to say that was a joke. Please do not sue me or try to come for me. It was a joke. It was funny. Please laugh. Insert fake laughter here. Xbox exclusives. I've got Avowed, Outlaws 2, Keeper, Ninja Gaiden 4, and South of Midnight. Hunter.
South of Midnight for now.
Cool. Congratulations, South of Midnight. I guess you're winning that one. No, my winner's
Yeah,
Keeper. My winner is Keeper for the year. I think Keeper is fantastic. Go play Keeper. Um, if you haven't played it, do play Keeper.
yeah. Outer Worlds 2 and Ninja Gaiden are both on PlayStation also.
Oh yeah, I guess they are. True.
Yeah.
Um,
The,
but they're like Microsoft Game Studios, so I'm just counting Microsoft Game Studios as because it's like PlayStation Studios games are coming to place.
yeah,
You know, it's like they're coming
that's
to.
fair enough.
So if it's a Microsoft Game Studios thing, then I'm counting that. You know, that's like
Yeah, it's more of like a our choice of phrasing for the category is the issue.
yeah. Sorry, Xbox developed video game. That's what we're gonna have to change it to. Is Xbox, Game Studios. Um.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Hottest Switch exclusive. Um. I've got Mario Kart World, Metroid Prime 4, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Pokemon Legends ZA, and Switch 2 Welcome Tour, baby. Hunter.
I've got Metroid Prime 4, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Drag X Drive, and Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Those last two are jokes.
Yeah, well, Welcome Tour was a joke. I mean, I believe the winner here, I think we're both in agreement, is Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah, for the integrity of the vote, it has to be. Hades 2 is surely going to come to the other consoles in 6 months.
Yeah, 100%. For the
And as much
integrity
as
of the vote.
I maybe thought Metroid Prime 4 might have had it at the beginning half of that game, I do think that the end of the game lets it down.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Um, let's end it off talking about some art. Hottest
Yeah.
art style of the year. Best art direction in a video game. My nominations are Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song, Dispatch, and Split Fiction.
My nominations are Hollow Knight Silksong, Expedition 33, Hades 2, The Midnight Walk, and Death Stranding 2.
I think some of these are obvious. Hades 2 and Silk
Yeah.
Song are very distinct art styles, very beautiful video games. I think that's easy to talk about. Um, Dispatch. Again, it just nails its art style. It looks like it's a comic book page come to life. It's fantastic. The way it meshes a lot of its, the way it meshes its two gameplay mechanics with the pre-rendered kind of cartoony aesthetic cutscenes with the dispatch kind of mechanics. It all just works so well and blends so well and creates a really strong identity for it. I think it's rather neat. Split Fiction, I think, just does a really great job of melding two very distinct kind of art styles of sci-fi and fantasy and mixing them together and making a really cohesive package.
Yeah. I think the way they hit on all sorts of broad visual styles in the two umbrellas there is really well done too. Like most levels or little side adventures you go on are very visually distinct from one another, even if you were to like cut it off in the halves that the genres that they belong to.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Some of the extra ones you have, Hunter, Expedition 33.
Yeah, Expedition 33 I do think is a very visually pleasing game as far as just its whole theming and everything like that. There are so many spots and shots in this game that look really good. The opening 30 minutes are a really good tone setter for the game visually, just with the, bent Eiffel Tower at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. The Gomage is a very sullen but beautiful looking cinematic.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. Only reason I didn't nominate it was not necessarily AI related, but it was mainly just because there's just a bit sometimes there's just a bit of inconsistency with Expedition 33's direction. Where there's some parts where I'm like, hey, this looks beautiful. Lumiere is a great example. The underwater area is another example where I'm like, this looks beautiful. What an absolutely, jaw-dropping video game. And then there are other areas where I'm like, okay, this feels like you've been on the Unreal store and bought some stuff to try and fill this in. And I'm like, I respect it. I respect the hustle. You're a small team, but also, you know what I mean? I'm not sitting there and looking at the gestural beach levels and other bits like that where I'm going, oh, the cohesion is here. It's thriving. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And also, I love the characters and I love the world and I love everything about it. It does have that Unreal look to it. It's just where I'm like, there are certain games where I look at it and I'm like, I can tell what engine you're running from a mile away, and it's just like, I don't know.
It's it's really in the faces of some of the characters, I would
Yeah,
say. Like Gustav and Ciel both have it pretty bad.
yeah, totally. I 100% agree with you there. My L has it a tiny bit as well, but yeah, it's just one of those things. I still think it's fantastic. And Death Stranding, brilliant, love it. My only
Yeah.
critique of it is that final hour. What an hour! What a visual delight! The rest of the game, you ain't fooling me, Kojima. You ain't fooling me. This is Death Stranding 1, but you've changed the Bridges logo to Drawbridges. You're not fooling me, mate. That's the same pose
I
box.
I think that the way that they brought the different uh the Neil sections, I think, are
Yeah,
actually like really well done as far as the direction with those,
totally.
each one of them being so different
The
too.
fireworks section
Like
is the best looking modern, current gen scene in a video game, I think.
yeah. And I really like the second one with him too. It really felt like I was looking through one of those liminal photography
Hmm.
pages with all the underwater stuff there. And then, down to other things like the face capture in this game is like probably the best I've seen in a game so far.
100% it is. It definitely is.
It's
It's not even close.
everyone's really expressive in this game
Yeah,
in a way that I think is very impressive.
100%. Like I say, that fireworks scene, dude, I was sitting there like swearing witchcraft, dude. I'm like, how the hell did they get this to run on Decima, dude? I love Decima. What an engine. What an engine.
What an engine. Yeah.
Uh, what's winning your
And then
vote, Hunter? Why you got
uh
Hades 2 Silk Song?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna give it to Hades too.
Of course you are.
Supergiant's art is unmatched.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to give it the same. It's got to be Hades 2 for that one, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's the mastery of the
Just
craft, really.
yeah, and just on like they leveled up the designs that they give like even the people you've seen in the other game. I think that they did a great job at making the design. Like they've redefined the way I visualize Greek mythology twice now.
Hmm.
It's very impressive.
Right. Next up, Hunter, best hair. Quickly, we're running close. We're
Best
running
hair.
short on time. What have we got? Best hair. I didn't have many.
Uh, all right, so my nominations are Mael from Expedition 33, Skilla from Hades 2, Kaname Date from No Sleep for Kaname Date from AI the Somnium Files, The Prince of Persia and Rogue Prince of Persia, and Donkey Kong from Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Cool. I have Renoir and Donkey Kong. Um, just because uh, Renoir's got luscious locks, and Donkey Kong is Donkey Kong. Did you see that fur tech, dude? When you were in the locker room and you shook Donkey Kong from left to right, his fur would bounce around, dude. That's the kind of
Oh
stuff that we
yeah.
love to see, dude. Ray traced hair follicles or whatever. There's only one winner in my eyes for best hair, and that's Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Hard to argue with.
That's what I'm saying. There you go. Congratulations, Donkey Kong, on your win. Uh, Second win of the night for Donkey Kong. He's living
Yeah.
large here. He prefers it here at the Hot Game Awards than the real ones. The real
And
ones.
it's one more than he got for Game Awards.
And congratulations, Donkey Kong. You're thriving in the year 2025. Hunter, this is your little category that you want to do. Silly
Oh
guy
yeah.
of the year.
So this year with video games was full of silly little freaks,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that it'd be fun to shout them out. I've got Sherma from Hollow Knight Silk Song, Noko from Expedition 33, Hot Boy from The Midnight Walk,
Mm-hmm.
Doll Man from Death Stranding 2, and Fortune from Lost in Random.
Yes.
Sorry, lost myself there for a second. Uh, and I'm gonna give this one to Sherma. I love that little guy.
Hell yeah. Godspeed. Congratulations on your win. I haven't got no authority on silly little guys. As someone who is 6'7" and extremely serious.
6'7".
This is where I do that, and the 16-year-olds laugh. Anyway, moving on. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the main event. It is Game of the Year, the best games of 2025. You know what? I'll go first. I don't mind. My nominations for my 6 nominations for Game of the Year are Split Fiction, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Dispatch, Hades 2, Blueprints, and Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Hunter,
My nominations are Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song, Wander Stop, Death Stranding 2, and Silent Hill F.
this is always my favorite part of these really long episodes because we get to, this nearly 3 hour mark 'cause these episodes always go on forever. And we've already said almost everything we have to say about these video games. So everyone goes, wow, that was a bit anticlimactic that the Game of the Year bit was like 2 seconds long. But it's true. We've said a lot about these games for the past 3 hours. If you skipped here in the
It's
timestamps,
true.
naughty. We've been through
Yeah.
these a lot. You think I'm gonna catch
If
you
you
up?
want to if you want to see the work, go watch the rest of the episode.
Bro, I've nearly been talking for 3 hours. You think I'm gonna give you another 20 minutes so you don't have to watch the rest of it? No, go back. You picked the wrong timestamp to skip to, Buckaroo. Get back there. Um,
Uh,
but no, I mean, I think each of these games in my lives, has done something that I really appreciate, whether it's Split Fiction really going in on innovating and coming up with a unique gameplay concept and mastering it and moving on and just doing that over and over again is really impressive. Death Stranding 2 just feels like a bigger, better Death Stranding in a lot of ways. And it really does It's like one of the most bug-free video games I've ever played, and especially in modern day gaming. It is.
which is really impressive for all the things it's doing.
It feels like a good old video game. It feels like, and it just
Ah, Kojima's
I
just made of sterner stuff.
dude, it probably is one of his best. I just think, he was running on all cylinders for Death Stranding 2. He really was.
Yeah.
Dispatch, again, one of the best narrative games I've ever played. And trust me, I've played a couple of stinkers recently, so it was really nice to be pleasantly surprised by one of them. Hades 2 is fantastic. Again, it is just a bigger and better Hades. Can't complain. I absolutely adored it. And then my two frontrunners are Blueprints and Expedition 33. Both of those games are very special. They're two games that I'm sure we'll be talking about for a long time. My winner is very boring though, and it is going with the crowd. My winner is Expedition 33 for my Game of the Year pick. It's just something about it. It's one of those games, dude. It's one of those games. It happens every 2 or 3 years. I'll see you in like 3 years' time for the next one. But it
Yeah.
just is one of those games where I ugly cried for 3 minutes at the end of it. And, I've been sitting there and I've asked, because I played it on PC, I asked for a physical copy of it for PS5 for Christmas, just because I like collecting physical copies of games that I really care about. And there's a small sicko part of me that's just like, I'm just going to install that bad boy as soon as I get it I'm just going to play it again like a sicko.
Oh, that's the spirit.
Um,
Oh man, there have been periods of time here in throughout this year where I play through games for my friend to watch and whatnot. Where I'm like, how soon? How soon
it's
do
too
I
soon.
do? How soon do I say that Expedition 33 is something they need to experience?
Totally. Anyway, you're up.
Yeah, I'm up. My pick is also boring because not for it being going with the crowd, but being very obvious if you observe the first thing about me. Hades 2 wins.
Wow. Sponsored by Supergiant once again. Hashtag
Oh.
ad, hashtag rigged, hashtag fraud. He's in the pockets of
Yeah,
big Supergiant, and you hate to
it's
see it.
just one of it's just yeah.
No.
It's just one of those things where it delivered just about everything I wanted from it. Better gameplay, more really fun characters, all of that. The art is fantastic. There was a point a few weeks ago where I turned the game on again to get the just because I got the physical version and I wanted
Mhm.
to get the epilogue just for something to do on it. Where I had loaded into the game and it just happened to be that when I quit the game the last time, it was Artemis was singing
Mhm.
and whatnot. So I loaded that back in and it was already like gnawing at me to just play it again for days on end. I was like, oh, can't, but I really want to. That kind of feeling that, you know, doesn't games don't hit me that way all the time.
Yeah. You gotta, at this point, you're numb to it a lot of the time. You're looking for that next rush of dopamine, and it's very rare for, like I say, it's very rare for, and this is, sad as someone who plays a lot of video games, um, as a hobby, to be like, yeah, it's very rare for a game to hit you. Like you're sitting there, and I'm like, you know, there was like three or so, there was like 5 games this year, 6 games or whatever. All of my game of the year, they did impact me in a way, but I'm like, considering how many games I played this year, and it's like, yeah, 6 of them. It's like that's what you know what I mean. It's like it's 6 of them, and some of these games, like Split Fiction, we played in like a weekend. So it's like there you go. There's 2 days of
Yeah.
joy out of 365. There's a little hit for you. See you next time, and you're like, what? That's crazy. Um, but yeah, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Our two Game of the Year winners for the HGAs 2025 are Expedition 33 and Hades 2. Who would have seen that one come in? Didn't waste 3 hours for that one, did you? No, sir. But there you go. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. What is your game of
Make
the
sure to go
year?
watch my top 10 list that's out or will be out, but when this is to get to spend 30 more minutes to get to the same conclusion.
Or go now. You have permission to go to the website to read uh in probably a more concise form of what our top 10, top 6, whatever lists are. And then yeah, go check Kyle's out. Obviously he's not here. Probably for the best, because otherwise this would have been like 4.5 hours. But hey ho. He's got a good list up, so go and check that out. He probably would have talked a lot more about Pokemon than I did.
Yeah.
But hey ho, that's what you get. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm gonna put the links on screen right now if I can find the button. There you go. You can go follow us on Blue Sky or Twitter if you want to keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast. This is the last episode of the HGO podcast for 2025, if you can believe it. Thank you ever so much for hanging out with us this year. It's been fun. We have played through many games. And now it's time to forget all of them, because next week we are forgetting them all, and we're looking forward to the big, bright, beautiful year that is 2026, the year of GTA 6, Half-Life 3, and Control 2. All three definitely scheduled. Lock them in. Lock them in. Maybe Wolverine if you're good, or you're bad, depending on how you feel about a Marvel game in the year 2026. Anyway.
Honestly, though.
We'll leave it there, everybody. My voice is hoarse and I'm ready to sleep. Thank you ever so much, everybody, for hanging out with us this week. We'll be back same time, same place next year to do it all over again. Also next week. I realize that isn't really there. See you in December 2026.
No, we will be doing this specifically again in December. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back same time, same place next week in the new year for more. But until then, have an awesome final week of 2025. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.